skies, firefight calls. The stakes are high, turn the slay heroes and spies. Control fire, where strategy lies. Hear the tales, fierce and deep. Victors roar, defeated weep. We blaze a way, we don't hold back. Control fire, ready to attack.
Welcome to Control Fire, your monthly musings on Mantic's Firefight. I'm Mike.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Luke.
Yep, I'm back. I haven't been replaced by Clive just yet.
Despite how hard we tried.
Yeah. He put his audition in. We'll see how things go. You guys can vote on the forums on whether you would like him to continue or me in the future. How is everybody?
Doing all right. Are we chatting about our hobby stuff? Is this our From the Forge?
Let's go From the Forge.
All right. Well, I am stoked. Listeners will recall last month I was grinding out the last unit of the Kings of War Slow Grow Challenge. I got them done in time, so I managed to do 2,000 points of Kings of War painted in 4 months. 4 lots of 500 point increments. Very excited to have them done, and Mike and I are having a game with them tomorrow, so they actually get a chance to hit the table. So that'll be great.
Yeah, that should be my first game of anything since FullCon that I ran a couple of months ago, which goes to the Forge. It hasn't changed. I was discussing with the gentleman here beforehand. I have my Twilight Kin sitting in the on the coffee table right in front of me, just keeps staring at me every single night, and to put them together, but it hasn't been happening. Been quite busy. My son's back into playing sport again, so he's cutting into my hobby time into a little bit at the moment. Unfortunately, have not been able to play any games since then, so looking forward to tomorrow night.
I like the idea of your Twilight Kin staring creepily at you through the night.
Yes,
yes. I'm also doing a little bit of Twilight Kin. So my youngest daughter has picked out the Twilight Kin as her army of choice for Kings of War champions. So I'm doing up a Lathiel Voidheart army for her. She wanted to have the ones that were evil and purple, and she thought Lathiel was beautiful. Some concerns there. My eldest daughter likes Axolotl, so I'm also doing a Trident Realm Force with Axel Tricklebrook in there, which it seems a lot more wholesome. My eldest has asked for sort of water-themed bases, so I'm doing some experiments with resin on bases, which I haven't done before. My youngest asked to have bases that look like the end of the world.
Right.
So stocking up on black lipstick and black eyeshadow thing, are we?
We'll see how things go. She's on me 7. Aside from that, I've also been working on teeny tiny Asterians because I'm getting my Asterians painted for Epic Warpath. We're having a string of Epic Warpath Learn to Play, Come and Play days as we all start to gear up our Epic Warpath forces. So my Asterians are finally coming together. So lots on my hobby table at the moment. How about you, Luke?
Well, I did not make my target for slow grow for a good enough reason, I suppose. Although I do think I've painted more than 2,000 points worth over the course of the 3 months that I did do. It's just with due to rounding errors. You can't submit 3/5 of a unit to the slow grow. It's got to be in whole units. So I think I got to 2,000 points, but unfortunately didn't make the end of the final month. We did a bit of a reshuffle at home, some bedrooms, so the baby has his own bedroom now. We had to do a shuffle and I lost my study. I'm in a new nook, which unfortunately is in the middle of the house with lots of noise going on at the moment because we've got to build a barn door, which is nearly done. But as a result of that, I had to pack up all my hobby stuff that lived in my study, and I have to figure out where I'm setting myself up. So while that's all not set up, I'm not painting anything. Which is unfortunate, but comes with the territory of dad, I suppose.
Well, that's From the Forge all covered. So this month we thought we would go back and do another faction review. And we have decided to do probably something that's a little bit topical in the world at the moment with asymmetric drone warfare. Asterians.
Yeah! I've been looking forward to this one.
Yes, so we will, as per usual, hand over to our resident lore master, Sam, to introduce the faction of Asterians.
All right, so who are the Asterians? So the Asterians are an ancient and mysterious species with hints of darkness in their past. There are actually more questions about the Asterians than answers. How big is Asterian space? Well, the GCPS doesn't really know, although it is assumed to be probably at least as large as GCPS space. There are hints that they used to occupy a larger area of the galaxy than currently, based on artifacts and structures left behind. Their culture is termed an empire, but the status of the emperor or empress is unknown. They're currently ruled by a tesseract, which is a blended consciousness of great Asterians who dissociate their minds from their bodies into a grand collective unity. Interestingly enough, Asterians are trigendered. They comprise male, neuter male, and female, and you'll often find the concept of 3 repeating through a lot of Asterian lore. Few humans will ever encounter any actual Asterians, particularly on the battlefield. Asterian veneration for life extends very much to their own, and they'll normally send waves of remotely piloted drones rather than engage physically on the battlefield. The exception are the Kalishi. They eschew the heights of Asterian technology and sort of revel in physical sensation. And the Overseer, who effectively draws lots, is selected to provide the guidance that only a true on-the-ground experience can give. So what you'll see in the Asterian military is divided into 3 main branches. You have the Clades, who are effectively like warrior monks. They live in monasteries of quite aggressive triads of Asterians. They're elite warriors who pilot the cipher suits and their more advanced weaponry like the Spectra and the Aegis. There's also the Shosen, who are the formal military for the Asterians. These pilot the less advanced marionettes and their vehicle drones. It's worth noting that ciphers is a true one-to-one connection where the Asterian hops into a telepresence pod and beams their consciousness into a bespoke created automaton. The marionettes are much more disposable. You'll have one Asterian controlling a whole string of marionettes with some primitive AI in there as well. The third branch, effectively, of the Asterian military are the Kalishi, of course. And now they have the Matsudan, who provide a doughty auxiliary ally. So what is the Asterians' dark secret, and possibly the reason they're now an empire without an emperor or empress? The Scourge. What the humans call the Death Ark, the Asterians call Shova Uglash, the Silent Lands. These used to be bustling centres of Asterian art and culture, and now they are tomb worlds, deliberately left barren and untouched until the GCPS bumbled onto the scene. So, why do the Asterians fight for a race that values life and venerates it wholly? Well, they fight for unity and balance. They view war and the taking of life as a last resort, but one that they're increasingly having to take, with humanity having unleashed the plague, which is the latest manifestation of the Scourge. And also due to other pilfering younger races like the Forge Fathers, Marauders, and Veermen encroaching on their territory. So the Asterians aim for cosmic balance of life and death, and are unleashing their hyper-advanced technology to ensure that everything is in its proper place in the galaxy. These are the Asterians.
Ah, okay. The younger races like the Forge Fathers. Okay. Very interesting take upon there. We'll go for them.
I sort of vaguely knew some of that lore, but not to that kind of depth, and there's a lot of really interesting things in there. Yeah, that's really cool.
I always liked a bit about the Death Ark and what are their secrets that they're kind of hiding in that area and what really happened back then and in that particular area of space.
Yeah, it points to the idea that the Asterians used to be a very different kind of race and with very different values to what they now hold. Now they're a much more ascetic race, based around balance, but they may not have used to have been.
I've just got this mental image of the Overseers all in their ship, literally drawing straws. All right. Straps on his armour and heads out.
Yeah. It's got like, oh, do I have to?
Someone's got to be on the ground.
Let's move on and have a look at look at all of the faction orders for the Asterians. So the first cab off the rank is the remote robotic reconstruction, which costs a single point. Any unit with the construct or vehicle keywords, the unit recovers 1 hit point previously lost This order, including its boosted version, can be used to return a model back to the unit providing all other models in the unit are currently at full HP. The boosted version, which costs 1 more, so 2 points, instead the unit recovers 2 hit points previously lost. So, our resident expert or main player of Asterians will start off with Sam.
You'll probably have a good target for this order every round. The big decision is which unit you give it to, because you can only fire it once. It's also one that makes your activation order really important, because you don't want to have activated a unit, it then takes damage and you're not able to heal it up, and you're going to have to hope it doesn't die before the end of the round, and you're then able to then play this order on it. So, I mean, you're almost always played at its boosted version, because 2 command for 2 hit points is pretty good. It's technically a little bit less good than the Plague version, which brings back D4 for 2, but it's very consistent. It's 2 for 2, whereas the Plague could end up worse. Alongside Energize, this is the order that makes everyone hate playing Asterians, honestly. Because it's not just your ciphers and your marionettes, it's your Spectra and your vehicles. There's many, many good targets for this.
It is definitely one of the problematic orders to play against. Even you work hard to chip down the shields on an assassin and get a wound or 2 through. Well, guess what? They can heal the wounds back and then regenerate the shields, and it's like you didn't do anything.
Would it be right with saying it's about the only way for vehicles to get back hit points in the game? Pretty sure it is.
Yeah, it could be.
I can't think of another way, because all the other heals pretty much are very targeted in what they can do.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, also noting that, healing most other vehicles would be doing things on high armor and heavy armor, whereas these are... But when we say vehicles, we're talking about something with armor 6.
Yeah. They don't have shields at all. We won't go...
Well, sure, but so do the ciphers, right? So if you can heal the ciphers, you can heal the vehicles. They're the same defense.
I always sort of get the Terminator thing going through my head when this order comes up, because you're just thinking this regenerating robot, like you think you smashed it to pieces, and all of a sudden, no, they're all starting to get back up again and keep on going. So in that way, it's nice and thematic inside my head when you're getting frustrated at the fact that these things don't die. All right, the next order is Power Devoters. It's only a single point order. This unit can lose a shield it currently has to gain an additional 6 inches to the range of all of its ranged weapons, or gain +1 armor piercing, or boosted 2. Instead, this unit can lose 2 shields to get +1 AP and 9 inches to the range of all of its ranged weapons.
Yeah, so you won't play this one every round or even every game, but it does have its place. It's flexible in that you can extend range on non-trademark weapons, because you've got another order for that, but at the cost of a shield. So for mine, and the one that I'll normally play this on, is the Cypher Wardens, because it extends their knockback range as well, which is pretty sweet. And also giving them additional armor piercing when they're potentially outputting a high volume of shots with their gauntlets is a pretty good investment. Aside from that, you might also be looking at just bumping a shield off one of your vehicles in order to get an extra 6 inches of range, just to get you in where you weren't previously able to shoot. But often your vehicle weapon ranges, and with their speed, you're often in range anyway. But you do have that as an option.
In a faction where you can cause the shields to regenerate back through another unit's activation, having an order that dips shields to make you more potent isn't such a detriment to lose the shields, because on someone else's activation they can put the shields back. Or they can just regen them at the end of the turn anyway. I think particularly for like a turn 1 play, this is a really good order, just to get in range, obviously, to shoot when people are playing that coy sort of you go first, no, you go first kind of playing turn 1. And also for late game, where you've got something over there that's holding an objective or an HVA and you want to try and knock them down to drop it, or you're trying to stand on an objective still and you want to reach out and touch something, but it's just that bit further away. So I think there's really good use cases for it, and the detriment is not so detrimental.
Yeah, I mean, that turn 1 play would speak to something like a Cypher unit with twin fission beamers, because those are normally relatively short range, but dropping 1 shield to markedly increase their range and get you in range to nail a vehicle turn 1, or just ruin a unit's day, not a bad use for 1 command point and 1 shield.
2, and you got like 33-inch range It's 18 for the weapon for a fusion beamer, 6-inch movement, an extra 9 inches. You get right across the table with a unit like that. So I agree with the others. It's a pretty decent order to start with, I think. I mean, you'd probably be concentrating on 2 other orders first. If you've got the spare points, I think it's great value. We move on to Precision Designs, another 1-point order. This unit can add 6 inches to the range of trademark weapons during a shoot, steady aim, or blaze away action.
I think other factions would like this order more, but it does have its place in the... I mean, look, how much would you kill to have a 1-point order to get plus 6-inch range on your trademark weapons and enforcers?
I think almost every faction really would want that.
Yeah.
Some can, obviously. Yeah, enforcers in particular are pretty gross.
Yeah, I mean...
they do have an order to do that.
But it's only in the boosted version, whereas here it's just 1 to get the 6-inch. You might do it for your ciphers, but your ciphers have a very low volume of trademark shots. Sure, they hit on 3s, but it's only a few shots. Marionettes probably... don't mind it. For mine, I think the big use is on Matsudan fire teams because they have 18-inch range guns, 2 shots each. But they're not terribly fast, and so the ability to walk forward and then shoot 24 with all those shots is not bad. And if you've given them the Yokozuna, so the ion cannon upgrade, it means everything in the unit is firing at 24, so that just feels efficient.
The only other thing, but it's an expensive unit and you're probably going to be in range anyways, Talons, Black Talons.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Because, those Talon rifles do kick.
Mm-hmm. Reposition, another 1-point order. Any unit with the construct or walker keywords, when performing an advanced action, the unit gains the teleport keyword. Boosted to 2. Instead, when performing a sprint action, the unit gains the teleport keyword.
Other people like this order more than I do.
I like it.
Yeah, you speak to it first then.
Well, I think sprinting is part of assaulting, so being able to teleport into assault is really good. Lots of good units that this could target for that. Even just things like teleporting onto the other side of a building to shoot, or teleporting up onto a building because you don't have the speed to move all the way up the side and whatnot. There's really good options for teleporting just as a move action as well. Not as many. I think you would tend to use this for assaulting, not for just repositioning, but there are some cases where teleporting to shoot is a good thing. Or even just, if someone's blocking you from moving with a vehicle or something, just teleport over it.
That's an excellent point. I hadn't actually thought of the vehicle blocking. The getting up onto the roof of a building, 100%. But I just love the idea of, that's an interesting mule you've parked in my way. And then just be on the other side. And that is good. I mean, I know you say there's a lot of good units. I really can only think of 2.5 in that you've got your Haniwa duelists, marionettes, and you've got your Spectra Blade Master, and then maybe your Wardens, but your Wardens aren't crash hot in Assault.
Well, so I was thinking Spectra Blade Master,
Yep.
because that...
It's the prime target for this, right? I mean, the ability to charge 15, but then to make that a teleport 15 and then just ruin someone's day, 100%.
Or the combat ciphers and the combat marionettes are good, decent enough targets for an assault with this. But even a unit of a couple of marionette phantoms...
Oh, yeah.
That's a pretty decent target for charging. They like to go up and hug terrain for a little bit, and you just teleport through it to make a charge. They've got 3 dice each on 4s with AP1. So
they're not bad. But I guess it's the same way as Wardens. They're okay in combat, but really you're preferring them for their charge gauntlets.
Yeah,
doing knockback. So I mean, you can. Yeah.
For me, it's the fact that the unit you're going against can't use a reaction.
100%.
That's, I think, the big one to do with the teleport bit more than anything else. There's many times I kind of go, I need to pin that first before I go into it. With teleport, you don't have to worry about that. You can just go in and go, oh, you got Overwatch, what a shame. And just go in and hopefully go blat and remove that unit anyway.
Yet another thing that makes them a stellar matchup for enforcers.
We'll go for Null Charger. 2-point order. The unit may increase all of its trademark weapons by 1 dice during shoot or steady aim actions. Boosted for 3. In addition, the unit's trademark weapons gain +1 AP.
Yeah, so we've seen something very similar to this order in Forge Fathers with Crestuson's Fury, or Trigger Happy in the GCPS, but this one has a +1 AP kicker, which is... I mean, there's worse ways to spend 1 command point than to give +1 AP. So I'll often trigger that, even though it does become a 3-cost order, so you really do want to make it worth it. Again, it often doesn't seem very potent on ciphers, just because they often don't have a huge number of trademark shots coming out of that. Like if you've got a squad of 3, are you really going to pay 3 command point to give yourself an extra 3 shots at AP1? No. Talons, I think as you were saying before, Talons would benefit a lot from this. And marionettes, of course, because of course they do have a high volume of shots. The people who don't are the ion rifle toting Matsudan fire teams, because they are 2D, and so this doesn't double their shots, it just adds plus 50%. And so you're probably not going to blow this order on your Matsudan fire teams. But aside from that, there's a few other good targets.
Ciphers, if you've got at least 4, like in a pinch, if you've got 3, sure. But if you've got at least 4 ciphers, it feels worth it, because that would be then 8 shots on 3s with AP1 for a boosted, which isn't terrible. A big unit of marionettes is really what you want to be using this on, though. And if you've got something like that, I think you should use this order every turn. It's a pretty gross order. It's like, in my opinion, one of the best of its ilk in the game. Other factions have very similar orders that, make their trademarks just hit a bit more often and maybe with a bit of AP, but this one is the strongest of those kinds. And it's probably the reason why you want the Overseer to have his Shuvatar drone, I think, like just to make sure you've always got points for orders like this.
I loved using Crescentons on Militia, a unit of 10 marionettes. Yes, slightly more expensive than a unit of Militia, but yes, it's made for it as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And finally, Energize. 1-point order. Replenish 1 shield previously lost on a unit with the shield N keyword. You may not increase the shields beyond the unit's original listed number using this order. Boosted 2 points. Replenish 3 shields on the unit instead of 1.
And this is the other order why you would like to have Shuvatars on your Overseers, because this one is also like 3 shields back instantly is...
It's so good.
Absolutely disgusting.
You'll fire this order every turn.
Yeah.
Yep. It's the whole faction is basically based on shields, and so why wouldn't you be putting more shields back?
It can be based all on shield, but it doesn't have to be. But I agree. This order is so good. It's everyone's favourite Asterian order. It doesn't instill rage in your opponents whenever they spend all their time shooting your units. You then immediately activate them, the shields come back up, and then they might be in range of connect the synapse, and so the models come back too. It's just great. The only thing you have to be careful of course, again, as with remote robotic reconstruction, activation order, you don't want to find yourself striding up the battlefield early in a round and then have someone shoot at you, your shields drop, you then can't put this order on them until next round. And so it's one you need to hang on to until someone has dropped your shields, and make sure you're activating things in the right order with Asterians.
And I think because you mentioned that twice now, I think it's like Asterians are one of the trickier or the high skill factions in a game of firefight. It's going to take a bit of time to get used to being able to play the particular faction. It is a little bit unforgiving in there, but it's certainly very strong. In the right hands, with experience, it can certainly deal the damage going through. It's a matter of getting used to it.
Yeah, I think probably more than any other faction, it's an army that lives on its command points. And it's faction orders, and we just ran through them, and there's not really a bad one in there.
No, there's no bad ones. And there's not any really that are situational enough that you can't find a use for it in a game as well, right? Like some factions, just like if you don't choose this particular class of unit, you've really got no need for some of your orders. Mm-hmm. This doesn't really... I mean, sure, you could have only Matsudan, right? And then you don't have access to some of these ones. But apart from that, you've got a use for every order, every game. Yeah.
Which will be in marked contrast to the command orders, where they are very heavily gated to only certain units. So very different to the faction orders.
If you want to segregate things, let's move to the command options.
Let's jump into those commanders then. So we'll start with the Cypher Prime. So the Cypher Prime is speed 612. He has a shoot of 3 and an assault of 4, so not terrible. Armor 6, 2 hit points, a nerve of 2+, which is the case across all of the Cyphers, apparently robots don't run away, has the construct designation Clade, Inspiring, Shield 4, Shield Generator, Small Unit 3, and has a Black Tactician dice. Controlled Fire and Evade as charge reactions, and the command order is Reconnect the Synapse, which is a 12-inch aura for 2. All Designation Clade and Designation String units, the unit gains the Regeneration keyword. The Cypher Prime can have either Cyphers as a bodyguard or Cypher Wardens. What are our thoughts on the Cypher Prime for 55 points?
I think you're pretty much going to see him in every Asterian list that isn't all Macedon. You know, like the regen it's fine. Other factions would kill for that. I think the lower body count on Asterians, it's not as good as it would be in other factions, but it's still good. Really, the key for me is it's a command bubble that you get for 55 points with Shield 4 and a Shield Generator. You don't need to give him bodyguards if you don't feel like it, because he's really good just by himself. For 55 points, he gets a black... That's like one of the cheapest commanders in the game, and he gives 1 black die like most cheap commanders do, but then he comes automatically with Shield 4 and Shield Generator. And a good order. Like, it's disgusting. I don't understand how this unit is pointed. Everyone should take it if you're playing Asterians. He's really, really good.
There's not really much point in taking more than 1, though.
No, unless you really want to... Like, if you don't care... If you've got, say, like an Overseer with, a green and a yellow, and you've got no real need for any of the other commanders... I could see 2 just to spread it, because you can spread out
Sure.
have 1 on each flank and your Overseer in the middle, for example, and then you're covering off your ability to issue commands across the board. And you can take 2 quite comfortably, just naked with nothing else, and be happy with your Shield 4, Shield Generator on him. Like, I think that's totally viable.
I should also mention he is armed with a Null Pistol, which is a 2D range 12 no AP weapon, and for Assault has 2D with AP 2 with his Light Blade.
Yeah, which is, not bad in Assault.
No, he's all right.
He's all right. Better with Cyphers and Wardens. But he can sit on a backfield objective as long as he's not contested by, by an ambushing style unit or something like that. Then he can actually hold a backfield objective just fine with his unit strength 1 for 55 points.
Yeah, you keep saying 55, and I'm the same. It's like for 55 points, if you're going with anything Clade or string, I don't understand why you wouldn't be taking him at 55 points.
Which is most of the troop selections, right? Most of the troop selections are Clade or string.
Yeah, so it's, he's I wouldn't say, it doesn't fall in the category of disgusting, but he's an absolute bargain to get what you want. I'm used to playing Forge Fathers and, the 12-inch template to get regeneration across the foot for 2 points. That's what you used to be able to have. And, you can get this in 55 points rather than 90 points, I think it was. So, yes. There's slightly more armour on the Forge Father.
Well, let's see how we feel about the next, which is the Kalishi Death Strike. So this one is much faster. She's speed 714, only shoots 6, and assault 3. So surprisingly, she actually has a lower shoot than regular Kalishi. Regular Kalishi shoot 5, but the Death Strike is shoot 6. However, you're not taking for shoot. Assault 3... Armor 5, 2 hit points, and only nerve 5. Has designation Kalishi, Inspiring, Small Unit 3, Stealthy, also a Tactician Black Dice, with Countercharge, and her order is Balance Through Death. Aura 12-inch for 1 command point, targets all designation Kalishi units. The unit may add 3 inches to any advance or sprint action it performs this round. The Kalishi Death Strike is armed with an energy bow, which is a 1D weapon at 18-inch range, and razor flails, which are 3D AP2. Do we have any thoughts on the Kalishi Death Strike?
So I think this is the other end of the spectrum for me. I think, looking at, again, 60 points then for a Black Tactician diet, and small unit and stealthy makes not as survivable, obviously, as the Cypher Prime, but not terrible. The problem is she's got a great order for Kalishi, I think. It's a really good Kalishi order. But I wouldn't take Kalishi because I think they suck. So I don't think I would take this unit. Basically, yeah. Great unit if you're taking Kalishi. I just would never take Kalishi.
You've got to be basing the army on Kalishi. Not sure why you'd want to do Kalishi, considering some of the other options, especially when the sumo lizards arrived. Beforehand, it might have been, but these days I think it's very hard to justify them at this point. And if you're not taking them, and you're not taking at least 2, if not 3 units of them, I'm not sure why you wouldn't be taking this command.
I agree. You'd probably only take the Kalishi Death Strike if you are taking 2 units as well of Kalishi. So I know you say it is a great order for Kalishi, and it kind of is. It's just a bit tricky in the timing because it's adding 3 inch to an advance or sprint, right? So you're activating the Death Strike. Are you charging in with it? Because if you are, you're probably charging your aura range away from the people who want to benefit from it for their charge.
Yeah, but you've got to, like, if you win, you get to, well, if you lose, you come back 6. If you win, you come back 3, so you're probably coming back in range anyway.
You might end up back in range as well. I'm just saying that you do need to be a little bit careful when you're activating the Death Strike. You're not like, I activate my order. I can now charge 17 inch. Off I go. Oh, my aura range is only 12. I might have just left behind the people who I'm supposed to be enabling. So you do just have to be a little bit careful with it. But I run a little bit counter. I do think the Kalishi are good, and we'll come to them when we chat about Kalishi. If you are running 2 units of them, you can consider the Death Strike. All right, now we start getting into some of the lizard folk. Let's start looking at the Matsudan Toshiyori for 70 points. So the Toshiyori is the standard 612, shoot 5, assault 5, armor 6, 3 hit points now with nerve 4. The Toshiyori has designation honorable, headstrong, like all Matsudan, inspiring, resilient 1, tactician with 2 black dice, controlled fire as a charge reaction, and the command order honor above all things, which is an aura 12 inch for 1 command point. It targets all designation honorable units. The unit gains the resilient 1 keyword, and considering designation honorable units are already resilient 1, this will make them resilient 2. The Toshiyori is armed with a ion pistol, which is 3D at range 12, and has 3D in assault as well. What do we think of the Matsudan Toshiyori?
I go to this, it's kind of like, I don't know if I wanted to play Forge Fathers or Asterians. I just Taco Girl meme it, and we'll do both. We'll just get the sumo lizards, we reach resilient 2, so now I have to re-roll 2 my wounds instead of just 1. Like, resilience is frustrating enough on Marauders without having to double it up, and now you're actually doing 2 wounds on them as well. So yeah, this if you're taking Matsudan, this is pretty much an auto include to be able to take.
Yeah, he's the de facto commander if you're taking any Matsudan, really. When we get to lists, we'll see. I've got a few Matsudan lists and didn't take him, but that's because I wasn't going, heavy into the Matsudan enough to sort of really warrant it. But if you've got, 3 or so units of Matsudan, I think it's a great include. 2 black die for his 70 points is pretty good. 2 black die being better than an orange statistically. So that's really nice. You could run him, I think, solo. You could run him with some bodyguards as well if you don't mind making him a bit more expensive. But I think solo is completely fine. 3 hit points. It's kind of hard to plink him off in 1 hit, and he can sort of hide a bit and lend some support. So I think you can run him either way.
Yeah, I tend to run in with 2 of the Matsutori with the ion rifles, just because when they then move up, they are then throwing out 7 shots, which is at 12 inches, which is really not terrible. And it does make a little bit more survival, just because 3 hit points is good, but if an assassin reaches out and lands 1 hit, that's a pretty decent chance he's getting removed. It's just to avoid things like that. On the face of it, the order could appear a little underpowered when you're comparing what gives a resilient aura in other factions, 1 for resilient 1. But for mine, when you're stacking it on armor 6 with all existing resilient 1, I really do think it's worth paying for. And in terms of being an all-rounder, his pistol is reasonable and he can assault if he has to.
Well, especially considering that you can get additional resilience on some of those units and get them up to 3 that we'll get to later.
Yes,
that's where it starts to get quite disgusting.
And in fact, all the Matsudan are already 2 wounds as well, so it's adding more and more wounds onto that particular topic.
It makes them nearly impervious to small arms fire, basically. Not nearly, but
I hate to say that because I've been tempting the dice against me. Let's have a look at the Matsudan Ronin. So the Matsudan Ronin is 75 points, speed 612, shoot 4 and assault 3, so he is an absolute mincer in combat. Armor 6, 3 hit points as well, nerve 4. Has headstrong, inspiring self only. Resilient 1, small unit 1 and tactician black. Note, does not have designation honorable, so will not benefit from any of the Matsudan facing orders. The Ronin's order is Killing Strike, which is an instant that targets his own unit. The unit gains +1 AP and the devastating 2 keyword on all weapons. The Ronin can be joined by Haniwa Wakizashi or Hanawa Katana marionettes, or can be joined by Matsuyamori bloodhounds. Oh, did I mention that he is armed with a Ronin energy bow, 24-inch range, 1D AP1, with a sniper scope? So he basically carries a 24-inch range sniper rifle. What are our thoughts on the Ronin?
It's a little bit disappointing for me that his sniper rifle is only 1 die. I think for it to go up to 2, considering his order, you would need a points bump up to 85 probably as a base, but just 1 die, I feel like I would want to. Like a single sniper shot, yes, you can get devastating 2 on it, so you can plink off, a special weapon in an enforcer unit, but I just feel like I always want 2 dice as a minimum in a sniper unit. So maybe it's a bit too disgusting with his order, but I would have liked to have seen that. I think the Matsuyamori, are what you play if you want cool little lizard dogs. They're not what you
right?
play. Yeah.
And who doesn't?
They're not probably the best option with how you're probably going to play this guy, I think. And for me, that's actually... It's what I would have assumed you would do, and then you did it against me, which is to run the Ronin with a an entourage to hold a flank. He doesn't inspire anyone else, but he inspires himself, and he's quite a tough, resilient unit. He can sort of go on your off flank and sort of hold that a bit as well.
And he can still be a source for command orders. He may not be able to inspire, but he can still be a command nexus.
So him running up there to be a nuisance, if anything else comes over to support there, they can't inspire from him, but they can use orders from him. So that's a good way to run him, and I think for that, you probably want the Katana marionettes as the preferred option, just because they've got that 18-inch shooting as well, but then the 2 dice AP1 in combat feels a bit better for me.
Absolutely, and of course that'll be 2D AP2, devastating 2.
Devastating.
And also noting that the Haniwa Marionette's no rifles will also jump to AP1, devastating 2, because it's on all weapons in the unit. Admittedly, they only shoot on 6s because they're Haniwa.
Yeah, with no AP base, but yes.
Yeah, and so that means they'd be AP1 and devastating 2 with the orders. That means enforcers probably really don't like it when that goes off.
Yeah, geez. we wanted another reason.
What are your thoughts, mate?
He perplexes me on why he's a commander. Why isn't he a specialist unit when his order's on there? I mean, obviously, so you can put the order in. I think it's the only way I can figure out that's the reason why he's actually a commander. To me, he's not a commander because he's only affecting himself. He has a black dice, but there's plenty of examples in the game where other units generate dice. So, yeah, that's the only thing for me. I kind of go, why isn't he a specialist?
You look at him a little bit more like the Crone sister, say, who has advanced training, generates a black die as an inspiring self, so like that almost commander that sits in a specialist slot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I was getting a commander, he's not something he's not from what I normally expect my commanders to do. He doesn't do that. He's only impacting himself. He's not giving something to the rest of the army.
Yeah, and I think you might go, well, so he can have the command, but I think the command is a symptom of him being a commander, and all commanders have a command, but you want him to run alone. So he has to have a command that targets himself. I think it's a symptom of that. If you had him in a specialist slot, he would just not have a command, and he would be statted accordingly to that slot. The Ronin is specifically a stands apart kind of model, so even the Ronin providing command bubble to the army is a little bit weird.
I mean, I will say, because I've fielded the Ronin a few times, and he blows really hot and cold for me. So I mean, on a clear charge, he should be hitting on 2s with AP3, rerolling 1s, and then devastating 2s. I mean, I have had him charge a Wolverine at full health and cut it in half in one combat. and it felt great. I've also had him charge standard infantry and just roll a fistful of ones on that initial charge, and there's no frenzy, there's no weight of fired. When he works, it feels glorious, but a lot of times he's actually just a big distraction for people because they really don't want to be charged by him. Let's have a look at the Matsudan Gyoji. So the Gyoji has similar stats to the Toshiyori, just does not have a shoot value. Is also designation Honourable, Headstrong, Resilient 1, Tactician Orange instead of double black, but is very inspiring instead of just inspiring, and has countercharge as a charge reaction. The Gyoji's command order is Honourable Combat, which is a 9-inch aura for 2. Targets designation honourable units. The unit gains the Overwhelm 4 and Frenzy 2 keywords. The Gyoji is armed with a Gunbai, which is a 3D weapon, no AP, but with Frenzy 2, and may take either Sekiwake or Inashi for the bodyguards. What do we think of the Gyoji?
Someone who has an access to a Thugaran Huskal for 1 point for Frenzy 3.
At range 12,
And
not
at range
9.
12, and it's a 9.
And all units, not just...
Yep. And because of that, I think having Frenzy, particularly if you're playing Metsun Heavy, Frenzy is good against with most units because you can throw a combat your way with the Frenzy. We were discussing it a second ago with the Ronin, but most of the other units are sitting in there. Like the Thorgaran, though, as you said, it's everybody. So even militias get to have Frenzy 3, and it can sway combat going through. So if you are playing again Macedon Heavy or in there, I think he's a pretty good option to be able to take, because be able to put that bubble light, even if you get assaulted, they're tough as nails anyway, and it gives them the opportunity to be able to hit back.
It's situational, but the overwhelm could be a real gotcha, where your opponent's trying to calculate the unit strength to steal an objective, and then you just pop overwhelm, and too bad, you know. I think that's a bit of a gotcha that could be cool if you pull it off and it's worthwhile. To me, I think the Toshiyori is still a better option overall for a Matsudan heavy list. But I think if you went all Mats, then you might go like 2 Toshiyori and a Gyoza.
Gyoji.
Gyoza. I think, that might be a cool way to play them. But he wouldn't be my pick, but I think he's fine.
It doesn't help that he's 5 points more than the Toshiyori, but you probably prefer the Toshiyori.
Yeah.
I mean, the very inspiring is nice for the extra 3-inch, but I probably prefer the 2 black dice to the 1 orange. Toshiyori's order is only 1 and is probably better.
I think.
Mike, you're right. I mean, paying 2 for Frenzy 2 feels very inefficient when you're, as you say, in Forge Fathers, paying 1 for Frenzy 3 at a bigger range on all units. I mean, Green Rage is also 2, but targets all units and has the bigger range. You're really paying extra for the Overwhelm, but Overwhelm won't always matter. It'll matter in some scenarios. So it's, I guess, a more situational order.
It matters in some scenarios some of the time.
Yes.
Both those 2 orders from both those 2 leaders, the Toshiyori and the Gyoji, thank God I got those right, they do overlap. They come in different phases. So you've got these bubbles that you can have on there, and you can really put your sumo lizards and suit them up to the max.
Yeah.
If you're willing to spend those.
Well, they sometimes, can. I think that with the Toshiyori, like Resilient's great in combat as well, to win the combat or to not take as much damage. So I think, you still have a good chance of wanting the Resilient in the unit's activation anyway.
Matsudan do want Frenzy. So, I mean, you're probably going to be taking this as your second Matsudan commander, because the Toshiyori is going to be first. But that's not to say the Gyoji's bad. He's probably just your second choice.
Yeah, agreed.
And that's because your Matsudan, because they are Assault 5, really don't mind Frenzy, because you are going to be missing with some of those hits going in. Now for someone which is a little bit more ubiquitous, the Overseer. So you are not taking the Overseer for combat. It is speed 612, shoot 5, assault 5, armor 5, 2 hit points, nerve 3, which is not terrible, but that sounds like a stat block for a Marine Lieutenant. At 80 points, must be the keywords, inspiring, shield 3, small unit 3, tactician green, there it is, evade as a charge reaction, that sounds very on theme.
That sounds what you want for this guy. I drew the short straw, but I'm ready to run away.
It could be the large. It could be an absolute honour to be the one selected to go down on the ground.
Sure.
And with a command order of Shield Boost, which is an instant at 9 inches for 2 command points, targets all units with the shield keyword. The unit may increase their shields by 1 to a maximum of 4. And that's all units with the shield keyword. The Overseer is armed with a charge glove, which is 2 dice with knockback and seismic, and has 2D in assault weapons. Can choose to take ciphers or cipher wardens as a bodyguard, and has 2 drone options, and may take both. So that is the standard shield drone, which gives the unit the shield generator keyword. We'll see that a lot. The other is the Shuvatar, who gives an additional orange command die. What are our thoughts on the Overseer?
Take one. I think, I think you need to. And as I said before, I really do like the Shuvatar on him just to get the extra orange. He's your only green in the list for starters, and then there's a fair few options that are 1 black die only. And then obviously got the 2 black or the other orange. But I think particularly in a robot heavy list, you're taking a Cypher Prime who only gives 1 black. Mm-hmm. You're taking the Overseer, and then you're taking something else that's not going to be, that's going to either be 2 black, 1 black, or an orange. I think just with the amount of orders that these guys want to be paying for at the price they're paying for some of the orders, I think you really do want that extra orange. So I would take it every time.
Yeah.
Classic support hero. He doesn't do much all by himself, but it's what he gives out to everybody else that puts it through. Just make sure you've got him relatively protected and out of lines of sight if you can, to keep him alive, and just let him do what he needs to do in the back of your lines to keep your army together.
Yeah. I often won't take the Overseer with ciphers, just because I'm then paying more points to put them in harm's way so that they can shoot, and I just don't want... I want there to be as few actual lines of sight to this unit as possible, because that shield boost doesn't require line of sight. It just hits all units that are within 9 and brings a shield back online, which is pretty good. I should also say, from a theme and lore point of view, the Shuvatar is actually the Shosen observer, keeping an eye on the Overseer, because the Overseer is from the Clades, and of course they're like an independent warrior monasteries. The Shosen want to make sure the Clades are behaving themselves, and so they have a Shuvatar accompany the Overseer onto the battlefield to make sure that that everything is going to the Tesseract's will. 2 more commanders to get through. The next is the Black Talon Prime. A very similar stat block to the Cypher Prime, but in keywords has aerial deployment, anti-grav, construct, designation Clade, inspiring, shield 4, small unit, stealthy, tactician orange instead of black, also with controlled fire and evade. The different order is Silent Strike, which is an instant at 12 inches. This targets up to 2 designation Clade units. The unit may immediately make a shoot action with trademark weapons only. These units are not then marked activated unless they already were. So, a free round of shooting. The Black Talon Prime may take Black Talons as a bodyguard, and also has the option for a shield drone. What do we think of the Black Talon Prime?
I think if you've got a unit or 2 of relatively large-ish sized ciphers or Black Talons, is probably worth it, but that's again going to be a lot of points, and you're pumping into that trick, and you got to try and make sure that the units in it, like 2 units, is one's going to be yourself and one other, but that's a lot of points to be doing it. But they shoot on 3s, so they could do what you need them to do, but they don't have a lot of AP, so you probably have other units in the army that's probably good at taking out basic infantry that this can do, but it's a nice trick if you want to try and pull it.
Yeah, I mean, I should say he is armed with a Talon Noah pistol, which is 2D AP1 with trademark and vicious shoot. The Talons themselves have 1D AP1 trademark and vicious shoot at 18-inch range.
I would only really play Black Talons as maybe like a little deep strike detachment, so a prime and 1 or 2 units that you deploy on turn 2 somewhere in a pain in the butt position, like together, and then because what you can do then is you can drop the other unit down first and shoot something, and then drop the Black Talon Prime down next to him, and then they can all shoot for free as well. So And then at the end of the turn, and then turn 3, you're charging things and being a real pain. So I think that's a good way to play them. Running them up the board, I think there's better ways in the list to get legs. They're kind of underwhelming, really, aside from the fact that they've got shields on them for that kind of unit. So I wouldn't really want to be running them up the board. I think as a little deep strike detachment, that's how I would play them.
I mean, of course, with aerial deployment, they do have scout.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so when they're running up the board, they are starting a bit up the board already. For mine, the Black Talons really are a scalpel piece, and you really do need to know what it is you want to do with them. But I agree. I think the prime use of them is you do drop a large unit of Talons down because they have advanced training. You can then give them no charges, and they double their shots and at AP2 and vicious. That sounds great. Then the prime drops down next to them, and then shoots, and then both those units shoot again. That's not a small number of shots, but it's also 5 command in order to pull that off as well.
Yeah, and you do that at the end of the turn, so at the start of next turn you could be charging and not giving them time to chew through the shields with small arms fire.
And of course, the Black Talon Prime's orange command die wouldn't be added to the pool for that at this point. You don't add commander's dice into the command pool until they begin a round in play. So you are also losing that orange command die for 2 rounds, which is not nothing, in a faction which lives very strongly on its command. I think the Black Talon Prime is a bit more usable now than before, when it could only target Black Talon units. Now it can actually tap a nearby Cypher unit as well. Just still can't target marionettes as they are not designation clade. Another one which has received some changes is the NASA. So the NASA is a vehicle coming in at 110 points. It is speed 12-18. It does not muck about. Shoot 4 and assault 6. Armor 6 and 4 hit points makes it about as tough as a mule, we would think. Nerve 3. It has anti-grav, shield 4 and shield generator. There we go, that's how it lives. Tactician, orange and black, which I think makes it the second highest in the game for command value behind the Tangle. Tangle is double orange, is that right?
Tangle is double orange, yeah.
Yeah. So the second highest in the game, with targeting systems, vehicle, and very inspiring. It has controlled fire as an assault reaction and evade. Its command order has changed. It is now Shield Nexus. Aura 12-inch for 2. All units with the Shield keyword, the unit gains the Shield Generator keyword. The NASA is armed with twin null cannons, which is 18-inch range, 4D, AP1 and pinning, and a communications disruptor, which is 2D, no AP, because it has the disruption keyword. Now, this is the only unit in the game with the disruption keyword so far. So if this weapon scores a successful hit, do not roll to damage. Instead, the target unit is unable to benefit from any order until the end of the round and loses the effect of any order currently on it. What do we think of the NASA?
So the change in the order has taken the NASA from a I'll run 2 of these to a I'll run none of these. But that's just because of the way that I would sort of build the list more than anything.
You would have run 2 of them before?
Oh, yeah. You know, when we pulled out our list to sort of do some example lists for the end of this episode, I looked at my existing lists and they all had 2 NASAs because I did them all before the change. I think the command dice is nice. The order, look, if you're buying the box set with the NASA and 2 chromas and you want to run all of those units, then the NASA order is great. Right, because it shores up those chromas. If you're not going to go out and invest in the chromas to play, or you want to run them, do them as transports or whatever, they probably don't really need that. So I would probably not bother with the NASA at that point. I think disruption is fine, but it's more of a gimmicky little. Like I wouldn't take the unit just for that gun, but it's a nice to have. Like if you have the unit, pinning guns are a little bit easier to come by in Asterians now than they used to be. So
they used to be very rare.
Yeah, in the past I would have said maybe you'd consider it just because it's got good command dice and pinning, which is hard to come by. But now you got easier access to it. So for 110 points for the NASA, I would probably leave it at home. But I think if you've got enough synergies in the list to want it, then it's a fine option.
You kind of want to be looking at Chiras, you kind of want to be looking at chromas, and if you're carrying those, you may as well put the NASA in as well because it all fits together. And we were talking about before, it depends upon what else you have in the list. It's probably worth taking depending what else you have. But then at that point, you're looking at potentially 4 to 5 vehicles, and you're going to have a hard time with objectives at that point. None of the vehicles are particularly cheap, so I can't really see that many vehicles being, after saying that I think about my own list.
Yeah, but they already have shield generators.
Yeah, and that's right. And then, I mean, the only thing you're going to be doing, if shield generators are only 5 points on the other units that get them, so if you decide not to put the shield generators on to say 5 points here and there, it's not going to equal anywhere near a discounted NASA for 110. So, yeah, it's one of those, it's a unit that depends upon what else you got in your list and decide whether it's worth it.
I mean, that is an interesting point, though, right? Like, you can decide not to spend points on... Like, if you want to run a NASA for any other reason, you can decide not to spend points on shield generators on other units because this order doesn't compete in activations with any of the others, right? Because shield generators happen at the end of the game. It's not during an activation anyway, so it's not stopping you benefiting from any other orders to get this. His 110 points kind of feels like it comes with a bit of a saving in other areas if you decide to go that route.
Yeah, that's very fair. I mean, often you might be wanting to pay it anyway, but it's a 12-inch bubble on a vehicle, so that's a decent area of the battlefield.
And it's not a small vehicle.
Yes, Asterian vehicles are so huge.
I think, were I playing Annihilation, I would always take this.
Oh, yeah.
Because that means all my chromas and all these sort of ones which I'm taking alongside. I mean, if I'm playing Annihilation, 100% I'm taking a NASA. And at least one.
You're not just going to play Annihilation with, like... 10 assassins.
I'm not. How about you?
If I had them, I would. Holy dooly, that'd be disgusting.
I mean, if you are running escorts, because of course escorts also don't have shield generator either, and your ciphers without generators and the Kira. It has targets. I appreciate it's probably not quite as tasty an option as it was before. And that brings us to the end of our commands.
But let's move to the meat and potatoes of any list, the troop section.
All right, so for everyone's favourite little lizard dogs, we start off with the Matsumori. So these are an auxiliary beast, as you would expect, from a 40-point troop. So they've got speed 714, no shoot, assault 5, armor 4, 1 hit point, nerve 6. So they're pretty standard for what you would expect from this kind of unit. They do have frenzy 2, see, frenzy in the list. Mm-hmm. Sure-footed, evade, and they have teeth and claws, which is 2 dice, no AP, and you can have up to 10 of them in the unit. I probably wouldn't bother unless I really wanted to run lizard dogs, but... it is cheap if you want some sort of screen.
I think we ran through these in an episode when they first got released, and my thoughts haven't really changed on them. I think they'd make a decent torpedo unit, as in for 40 points, I can have something charge 14 inches and maybe worry them, or put it in front of an objective, and if someone steps onto that objective, these dogs can charge them. And for 40 points, I don't really care if they die. Alternatively, they don't require a slot, and so if I end up with getting myself to max specialist in command, max support, and I've still got some points left over, and I didn't have any more upgrades I wanted to be putting on, I could put these guys on instead.
Yeah, I mean, that said, for 15 more points, you get a base unit of the next troop that we're going to talk about. So, yeah, if you really can't get that extra 15 points, then sure.
Agreed. You got to love little lizards, and that's probably the reason why you're putting them in there.
More importantly, lizard dogs.
All right, lizard dogs.
Everyone loves dogs. All right, so the next unit is the Haniwa Duelist Marionettes. So these are the Wakizashi / Katana marionettes, so the combat ones. So they are, the normal 6-12 speed, shoot 6, 5 assault, 5 armor, 1 hit point, nerve 4, and they have construct and designation string. So this unit can be up to 15 marionettes, which is pretty cool. And they come, like I said, with the Wakizashi, which is just 2 assault die and a no rifle, or they can, for 2 points a model, upgrade to a katana, which basically just gives them an AP 1 on that 2 die attack. Interestingly, they've got no rifles at 18 inches, which is good, like trademark, like they shoot as well, as far and whatnot.
Oh, shoot 6, sure.
It is shoot 6, but most units like this, they're only shooting 12 inches. It is very interesting that these shoot 18 because it gives them just that little bit more utility. What do you think?
I've seen something very similar to this profile before with 2D attacks in melee, 1 shot at shoot 6 at range 18. These are basically ghouls at -3 sprint plus 1 nerve, but with construct.
Yeah, and cheaper as well, I think.
Yes, in that you can take a small unit of them. Overall, of course, ghouls are much cheaper per model once you get to the big unit size. But yes, these can be cheaper in the smaller unit size than ghouls are.
And I think we'll get to it in my list later, but I think smaller units of them have their place as well. I think that's a cool option for cheap, particularly to unlock multiple support options, if that's what you're going for.
They are the cheapest unlock in the list, and they'll still throw out 10 attacks in melee.
And I really like construct on combat units.
Yes.
It's just a really good rule on a combat unit.
Yeah, so I mean, even though I say they're basically ghouls that are slower but with construct, that construct is really not nothing.
I've been kind of pondering the particular unit and its kind of use on the tabletop. I mean, I think the models look cool, but yeah.
I got a use for you.
Huh?
I got a use for you. It's a 55-point unlock.
Yeah, that's the only one, and I knew you would choose it for that. Right? I looked at it and I went,
No, look, right?
that is a Luke unit if I've ever saw one. 55 points, 55-point unlock, that's not an auxiliary, obviously. So that's the main part that sits in there. Like, I kind of would be tempted to take a larger unit, but then that's probably my hangover of playing a lot of Night Stalkers more recently. And
Yeah, it's tough when you're paying 8 points a model for that unit that goes all the way up to 15, right? Because this is a unit that dies as easily as a GCPS Marine.
yes, so I'm not sure. I think small units is probably to get some unlocks, and I think that's basically around it. Also try and debate whether or not we pay the extra 2 points to get the AP1 on a unit that's probably going to die before it ever really gets there. So
probably no more than a quarter of the models, just because I'm expecting some to die on the way in. I mean, it's not a terribly expensive upgrade, but I guess it's in the same way. Do you put scythes on your scarecrows?
Yeah,
it's a very similar mindset.
Yes, which I don't. So
there you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Of course, if you've got 2 points left in your list building, very easy add.
In my list I've got 2 units of 6, and they've all got katanas just because katanas are cool.
Are you saying Wakizashi are not cool?
Oh, they're fine. They're not katanas, though. So on the tail of their melee buddies, we have the regular marionettes. So basically the same profile, except these have shoot 5, assault 6, so flip the bits. These guys, however, are limited to 10 and not 15. They have the no rifle as well, and they just have a 1-die assault weapon. You can upgrade one of them to have a grenade launcher for 10 points, a sniper rifle for 10 points, or a something that I can never pronounce.
Phlogister, because it's
phlogists. And that's just an it burns, so like a 12-inch flamer basically, but at AP1, which is a little bit better than most similar weapons. Now they can take a second of those special weapons if they have at least 8 models in the unit. They can also take a drone, and this drone is not a shield drone. You can get a cloak drone for stealthy, which is my pick of the litter. You can get a comm drone for marksman, which I don't know why you would, for 10 points. And then you can get the twin no rifles, which gives you 3 shots at 18 inches, but also has the trademark. So, if you want to put out a few more dice with shooting, that's not a terrible option, but I would only consider it once you're already at max size, right? Add bodies, and then add this if you really want to add that little bump at the end.
You say that, but it's effectively the same as buying a weapon upgrade. It just takes up an extra slot, and you still get the extra gun.
Yeah, but it's 5 points more expensive than a marionette.
For 3 shots?
For 3 shots.
Yeah. So
and doesn't provide a wound.
It doesn't provide a wound, but it provides triple the output.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I will say for the marionettes, they are surprisingly expensive for something that has the same, effectively, offense and defense as a GCPS Marine. They shoot 5, 18-inch range, AP nothing. They don't even have blaze away. What they do have is construct, and that's what you're paying for. So you can't just treat them as chaff, even though I guess the Hanawara are probably the chaffiest thing in the list at 8 points a model, but that's still not true chaff. So you do have to treat these guys somewhat carefully. I actually like all 3 drones for different builds. So I take the communications drone if I'm running twin grenade launchers, because marksman on grenade is good. Also think that when you put no charges on this unit to double its shots, you're then having marksman on all of those shots. I take the twin no rifle drone if I'm keeping it potentially as a small unit that I'm actually wanting to get up the board a little bit. Precision Designs is then a good order on this because it has trademark. It means the unit can shoot at 24. The other option is a cloak drone, as you say, which is just generally good. Give a unit stealthy. I'll normally have one unit of 6 marionettes with a single sniper rifle stand at the back of the board on an objective, which at 70 points is a very cheap objective holder who can throw out one shot that always misses, but you always feel you could be doing something.
That's why I hate those, because they always miss. Like, you're paying for something that will miss every time.
I do rate the sniper rifles and the grenade launchers now that they're up to AP1, like other races' grenade launchers. The Phlogister does feel expensive now at 15 points. When all other flamers are 5, you're paying an extra 10 points for the +1 AP. But you can probably still take them. It just feels a bit inefficient.
Well, I am losing trademark in the process. I think, like you said, there is a number of ways to play marionettes. My favourite way would be a couple of smaller, cheaper units as objective holders, like backfield, something like in controlled advance, or maybe to come along second wave to grab objectives after your main forces died, or control hold sectors and whatnot. So for that, the shield drone feels
the cloaking drone.
The cloaking drone to get the stealthy. It feels like the pick because you get them in a bit of cover. You hit the dirt. Oh, they can't hit the dirt. They can't hit the dirt, but yeah. So you get a bit of cover and stealthy. So they're -2 to hit. That helps them hold things a bit better.
I think I made the point earlier on about them very similar to militia. They're 10 points for, Forge Father militia. They are 10 points more expensive for the same size unit, so you go 100 points for 10. Then but from that point, although militia assault on 5s, and these guys assault on 6s, but you got the construct versus headstrong.
Yep.
You got orders that do similar jobs that you would put them on. I would take them as a unit of 10, or maybe even 2.
I do take a unit of 10 with the intention to put no charges on that unit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because as I said, I'd use them the same way as I use my militia when I play my Forge Fathers, same way.
Right, and we tend to be going up consistently in 5s for the base price so far. So at 65 points, you can get a unit of Cypher Wardens. So these are the melee version of the Cyphers. They have Shoot 4, Assault 4, Armor 6, Nerve 2, which is great. They have Advanced Training, Construct, Designation Clade, Shield 4, Countercharge, and Evade. The Countercharge and Evade is an interesting... And Evade on the Cyphers, I don't know. They're still remote automatons. I don't know why you'd choose to run away with them, but,
And on Nerve 2, they're probably not failing that.
Yeah, they're always running away. So you can take these in a unit of up to 6, which is quite elite, but they are very elite. So they have a 12-inch range shot with 2 dice with knockback and seismic, and they've got an assault of 2 dice just with seismic, and they can take a shield drone as well for 5 points for shield regen.
And that's the reason I object to them being called the melee version of the Cyphers, because 2D on 4s is not an elite melee unit, right? What they are, though, is they are effectively a shotgun unit, because they can move up and then put 3 shots per model into something at Shoot 4. So that's pretty good. And with power diverters, you can make that AP1.
Well, they also don't get better assault stat than the regular Cyphers either, because regular Cyphers are assault.
Yes, that's right. So they're really not the... They have +1D. Yeah, that's right. I do love this unit, though. They do so much work because they are the Cyphers getting up into everyone's faces. I almost always take a full squad of them, because if I'm shotgunning something, I want 18 shots. I don't want less. Power diverters, if they're on the offensive, like I said, energize or remote robotic reconstruction, because everyone is putting shots into this unit. But honestly, you put them in a Kira, you skim that Kira forward 18 inches, advance out of it 6, and then just ruin someone's day.
That's what I was going to say. This is the pick of the units to go in the transport.
Yeah, 100%. You didn't mention the flare gun. Did you want to quickly give the flare gun option on the...
Not really.
Oh, fair enough. on the Cypher Warden leader?
Well, so the Cypher Warden leader can do a gun upgrade for 10 points, and he just gets pinning on his pistol and AP1.
And also upgrades his melee.
Oh, it does too. Anti-tank AP3.
Yeah, so it's for 10 points. I think that is an upgrade well worth paying for. I mean, honestly, for the pinning alone.
Yeah, for 10 points, yeah.
I mean, I'd pay probably 5 points in order to just make his shots pinning, and 5 points more in order to get the better. It makes it almost a melee unit. But
Almost.
almost. But no, I mean, it is... often this unit will be jumping into a building, shotgunning out of a building, and then getting shot by everyone, getting charged by everyone, countercharging is what this unit does.
Yeah, getting shot by everyone and it doing nothing because they've got shield 4 and they're in a building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my playing Force of Defenders, and they're very similar kind of job role. I mean, they're nowhere near as tough, I guess, because they don't have the big shields on them and they don't have defensible
construct.
But still, they're going to do a job. And as you said, it's a case of jumping out and blatting someone from short range and going from there, and probably going to be surviving enough to take whatever comes back. Yep, I think they're pretty decent, especially for 65 points for a base unit.
And because they've got seismic on their melee weapons, they're particularly well suited to killing Asterians.
Yeah, it's true.
All those constructs.
Yeah.
No, I think they're pretty decent value.
They'll very seldom survive a game, but they'll do a lot of work in a game for me.
So next we're on to the regular ciphers. So they have basically the same stat line, except they go down to shoot 3, which is great. They've got the advanced training, construct, designation, clade, and shield 4. They have controlled fire and evade instead of counter charge and evade. This unit also has a maximum of 6, and you can take 1 special weapon or 2 if you have at least 5 in the unit. So the special weapon options that they've got are a force rifle, which is just four dice, but you lose trademark. Mm-hmm. There's a missile launcher for 15 points, which gives still the 1 shot, but at 24 inches, AP2, but it has anti-aircraft blast D2 and targeting systems. And the last option you can get is the fission beamer for 30 points, which is pretty whopping. Gives you 3 dice at 18 inches, AP3, anti-tank and targeting systems, which I think for this kind of unit and that kind of special weapon in most factions would be good, and in a lot of builds that you could do for Asterians, I think it's good. But I think there's some builds, like how I would do it, where you may as well keep the trademark because you've got other things to do with that anti-tank.
3 shots at AP3 on shoot 3 is no bad thing anyway, and anti-tank aside.
And it could be 6 dice at AP3 anti-tank, and it's in your troop slot.
And that could be at 24 inches if you're willing to divert power from your shields to
Imagine how good that would be in Veermin if their troops could get 6 dice AP3 anti-tank in their troop slot. Imagine the possibilities. You might end up running death engines that way.
So I mean, for mine, there's so many ways to run a cipher unit. My preferred is 4 ciphers, a force rifle, and a shield generator. Why 4? I always run even squad size. It means that by the time they get hit by the cipher prime's regeneration, they're then back up to not broken again. Your opponent will put far more into this unit than they really feel they justifiably should for 4 models. Those 4 models with a force rifle also output 7 shots at shoot 3. That's really not nothing. They're armor 6, and behind that shield 4, and then remote robotic reconstruction and energize and reconnect the synapse. They're just incredibly hard to drop for a unit that costs less than 100 points. I mean, I also think you can very validly run them with a fission beamer in that kit out as well, and then you'll also get a bit more punch, but it does start being a bit more expensive. You can also run them, as we said, as twin fission beamers. The only upgrade I really don't rate is the missile launcher, because the force rifle is cheap at 5 points.
Yeah.
The fission beamer is horribly potent but expensive. The missile launchers kind of really neither at 24-inch range, 1D, AP2, Blast D2.
Yeah, I think at a larger unit size where you're probably going to want to target trademark orders onto the unit, you might consider the force, like not doing the force rifle and just raw dogging them.
Except for 5 points. I mean, if I were to be putting orders on them, it's to get more shots, probably.
Well, it depends
and
if
the
it's
force
the
rifle
extra
just
range or
quadruples
whatever,
the shots for 5 points.
Yeah, you don't get the AP, you don't get the range, options.
Sure.
It's to consider. 5 points though for the extra 3 shots is kind of nice.
Yeah, I mean, for mine, it's just the missile launcher, because you look at the HMX-32s in the Enforcers, you look at the Mjolnirs in Forge Fathers, and the Asterians probably just need to have a look at what their competitors are toting, really.
Yeah, for 5 more points you can get an HMX in Enforcers, and that's disgusting.
That's why it's called light.
Yes, it is a very, very light missile launcher.
But it is on Shoot 3, though. That's kind of the difference.
Sure.
That Shoot 3 is quite nice.
Friends of the show who listen to me on my army list enough would know that I love units that are around about 100 points, and most of my lists sort of have them. And for ciphers, you can get a base unit, give one of them a fission beamer, and give it a shield drone, and that's 100 points sitting there. And the reason why I go there, because AP3 is such a magical number, particularly if you've got people on the other side of the table who like to have things like Resilient 3 sitting on units, because it gets rid of a Resilient with the AP3. It's 5 shots for on 3s for 100 points, and as I said, 3 of those are at AP3. It's I think that's pretty decent value for that. I understand the argument for even numbers, but again, it must be my OCD kicking in and liking the number 100.
Don't worry, my sample list also has 2 units of 5 ciphers just to trigger sand. It's fine.
Yeah.
I will say you're also playing into theme, because, of course, the base unit of the ciphers is a triad. Mm-hmm. So you can say you're playing to theme.
Yes.
And I agree as well that AP3 anti-tank and multiple shots is the prime spot to be, because you're cutting through both resilient and heavy armor at that point.
Yep.
It's very efficient.
Yeah, and it's also got targeting systems, so you can put it into another unit if you want to.
And 3 shots on 3s, like that's fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, 30 points is probably the most expensive troop level weapon upgrade in the game, but justified.
I think that potential loadout makes Asterians the only army where you could legitimately just play troops and characters and actually have it not suck.
Because you've got a decent anti-tank in your in your troop slots?
Yeah, well, and just, ability to punch past, resilient and do all those other things. And they're all quite elite, right? A lot of factions you've got to go into specialists to get those elite troops, whereas these are in your troop slot. All right, now we're on to the Space Lizards. So there's 2 Macedon units coming up, and they both come in at 65 points. So we're sticking to 65 now. So there's the combat team and the fire team. So the combat team first, they are speed 6-12. They have no shoot, but they assault on 5s. They have armor 6, 2 hit points each, nerve 4 up. They are designation honorable, headstrong, resilient 1, and have countercharge. So they have the Sekiwaki leader, who has a shock maul, 3 dice, AP 1. He can get an Inashi, which is 4 dice, AP 2, and vicious, which is quite nice for 5 points. And that's a base unit of 3, and you can bump that up to 6. And all of those have the same options of being a default Sekiwake or 5 points for Inashi. And they can take an Isha drone, which is a medic self drone for 15 points, which obviously bumps their resilient up to 2 and gives them the option to medic heal themselves.
I will say I was originally quite meh on this unit when I first read it, because I looked, this is an all assault unit. That's assault 5. Why? I have Kalishi. Why would I want to run that? Then I ran them. They're great. And it's nothing to do with their output, though their output isn't too bad at 3 dice a model. Admittedly, you don't have many models in a unit, but you start adding up, and that's okay. The Inashi are a good upgrade. You don't want to overdo it, but going up extra dice and AP and vicious on a couple of models, certainly worth doing. It's their resilience is the thing that does it, though. And that's the thing that Kalishi don't have. Because Kalishi charge in and they will slay, but the Matsudan will kill a little bit less and die an enormous amount less as well. I've really started enjoying running these, and I'm actually running a lot more Matsudan now as well. By the time you put a Toshiori nearby and an Isha drone in there as well to make them resilient 3, they're just so hard to kill.
Yeah, they are a massive pain in the butt. I think running 2 Inashi is probably the way to go. Just, you could put them on all of them, but then you might lose some models to shooting, and that, and it sort of becomes a bit less valuable at that point. I think running 2 would be nice.
Yep, is exactly what I run.
Yep.
If people who don't necessarily play Forge Fathers won't really get the kind of look, as you said before, about to win a combat you want to be able to kill things. Well, this thing goes, well, I'm just not going to die, and then you still have to move back your 6 inches. Thank you very much for losing that combat. So I think that's where the value comes from it, and that's how sort of Forge Fathers sort of march up the field. They attack something and force you back 6 inches, and we'll keep trying to move forward.
And mark you activated and pinned.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's what this unit's going to do the same job. So,
which really feels great for like sumo, if you know what I mean. Like it's just like barging through and knocking off balance, and it feels very on theme.
So as mentioned, next we have the fire team, which has a shoot of 5 and assault of 5 as well, armor 6, 2 hit points and nerve 4, the same as the combat team. They also have designation honorable, headstrong and resilient 1, but they get suppressive fire instead of countercharge because their 18-inch iron rifles with 2 dice have blaze away and trademark, so that's kind of nice. So they start with a unit of 3 as well, and they can go up to 6. One of them can have a weapon upgrade, and that can be an Ozeki, which makes the iron rifle become an iron barrage, which just gives it AP 1. It loses trademark, but it gains pinning and still has blaze away, which is nice. They can also take the Isha drone for 5 points. Thoughts on this?
I just keep going back to whether or not I would prefer it to the ciphers in the combinations, both in the same slots. The guy got, obviously, the Macedons are a lot tougher, will take a bit more punishment in that regard. They kind of be like enforcers because they got 2 hit points each as a unit, and they got 2 shots each, so I kind of look at it that way around. I did my list, we'll see that later on. If you want to do a similar list of one, go for it.
I think they're fine, right? And particularly if you want to try and get a pinning gun in, because it's 10 points for pinning, but it does add AP 1. If you don't need the unlocks, and or if you have the unlocks to spare for a very similar unit, I'd probably rather the Macedon support team, which comes automatically with the Ozeki for the pinning guns. That would be my preference of the two, but we'll get to them in a little bit.
I mean, I think that the comparison to the enforcers is an apt one because they're very similarly statted, actually. And so it is almost like you're starting to take enforcers in the Asterians. Enforcer operatives, of course, are +1 shoot, +1 assault, +1 nerve, and gain anti-grav and advanced training. But the Macedon, with resilient and headstrong and an extra D in assault, is really not terrible either. Admittedly, often your enforcer operatives are leaning into their special weapons, whereas the Macedon aren't. They only get a single one, and it's not quite to the same potency as what you're seeing in operatives. I really am also liking this unit as well, just because they are similar to marionettes in that they output similar. If we think that each Macedon is basically 2 marionettes, and they die a lot less easily than marionettes do. So I've actually started replacing some of my marionette units with this fire team just because this is a unit which can actually take hits to the face. They also love precision designs, as I said before, because it then takes their ion rifles out to 24-inch, and if you've got the Yokozuna, it means everything's firing at 24. The Ozeki, of course, is gated at 18. I think the Isha drone at 15 is an expensive one for a medic, but I do still take it, just because an extra point of resilient on an armor 6 unit is just worth the extra points if you've got a squad of sufficient size. And so that's why I do end up running squads of 6 of these, which is the leader, the Ozeki normally, and then 4 Matsutori with an Isha drone. It's just then very, very difficult to shift.
Yeah, I'm not sure the medic drone, like you say, for 15 points, I'm not sure it's worth it over a body for 20. That's probably why I wouldn't.
It would be the 7th model.
Yeah. If you're running max size, for sure.
And the other reason you might be considering the larger squad size is if you're taking the Gyoji, then that means you'll be able to benefit from the Overwhelm 4.
So we're down to the last 2 troops, and in case you hadn't cottoned on, you better get comfortable because there are a lot of options in the Asterian list. They have a lot of units, and we're near the end of troops. So we've got the Issei Kari Yusei Kira transporter. So this is a 12-18 movement troop for 80 points that has shoot 4, Armor 6, 4 hit points, nerve 3. It's anti-grav, so not fly. Anti-grav, auxiliary, capacity 10, shield 4, vehicle, controlled fire, and evade, which is kind of nice. It has twin no rifles, which means 18 inches, 3 dice, and trademark if it chooses to shoot.
Well, you're certainly not taking it for its shooting.
No.
But honestly, I don't know why this isn't taken more. If there was a capacity 10 transport that was speed 1218 non-flyer in any other faction, it would be spammed into oblivion, right?
Yeah.
I'll always take at least one because that's where my Wardens or my Matsudan will go. But honestly, this unit is great. Speed 1218 non-flyer, capacity 10. That's amazing. The only real downside to it is just how big the thing is, that it can be sometimes a bit difficult to fit it into places.
Every time I've played against one, I've hated it. So it should be considered as a pick just for that reason.
The only thing that Drakkar is better at is its footprint. It's a lot smaller than this thing. It's the same points. It only moves 612. It's going flat out to what this thing walks. I mean, yes, Drakkar's got heavy armor, but it's got shields, 4 shields on it, and most weapons that are going to be hitting tanks generally don't have an awful lot of shots. So you only want to get a unit up the table somewhere on the end, and then you can just have that donut flying wherever it wants to after that.
And that's the problematic thing with this unit, right? Like, when I face mules, I aim to pin them or kill them on turn 1, which is not that hard to do, because that way they have to drop and activate the unit inside, and they can't get up the board like they were hoping. Even if the mule gets up the board a little bit, managing to take out the mule before the unit jumps out, if they don't do a double, is a good thing. This doesn't suffer from that because of those blasted shields. It's a real pain.
I mean, I will say that once the shields go, of course, it's effectively a mule. It's armor 6, 4 hit points. But it is those shields, and those shields do have to be respected. I will say, once the shields drop on this, I generally am not spending energize on it in order to get the shields back on it. It's normally done its job. From then on, it's basically a giant flying roadblock. Or, except in extraction missions, where it is the Wardens step back in to the Kira and are then flying 12 inches back towards my line. Honestly, it is just so fast. It can fly 18 inches, drop Wardens.
Doesn't fly.
Oh yeah, it's better than flying. It's anti-grav, which means it hops, and people can come out and charge if they want to. And admittedly only moving speed 12 then, but capacity 10, it's great. I don't know why we don't see it more.
I think you got to have a unit that you want to put in it.
Yeah.
Which you don't always have. I didn't choose to take one for my list because I didn't have a unit that really felt like I wanted to put it in. But I think that's the exception, not the rule.
Mm.
And the final unit is my favourite one to hate on, and that is the Kalishi. So for 90 points, you get a troop which is speed 714, shoot 5, assault 3, armor 5, 1 hit point, nerve 4 up. They have designation Kalishi, stealthy, countercharge, and they come in a unit of 5, can be upgraded to a unit of 10. They have an energy bow, which is range 18, 1 die, no keywords, and a glaive, which is assault, 3 die, AP 1, no keywords.
I do like this unit. I used to love it a whole lot more. I mean, assault on 3, charging 14 inch with 3 dice AP1 each model. That's really not to be sneezed at. They have incredible assault stats for what is effectively a troop unit, right? But what they really lack is order support, in that none of the faction orders apply to them.
Yeah.
Not one. And the only command order that does is balance through death, which increases their speed, which is not bad. So because they're not a construct or vehicle and they lack shields and they don't have trademark weapons, they don't have any orders, so that means you're probably only running one of this unit as a self-sufficient detachment that you don't put orders on. In which case it's then 90 points, which is not a cheap unlock, but it is one which will throw out 15 attacks on 3s. So it will shred something, but you do need to get it in there, and at armor 5 stealthy, they're not terribly hard to kill. Their biggest weakness, though, is pinning. There's no pin mitigation in Asterians, because everything is, aside from them, is either a headstrong or construct, or it's a vehicle, right? So with no pin mitigation, if you pin them, They can't charge that turn, and that's the only thing they do. So they used to be an utter terror before the nerfs to transports, because you would then have a Kira, put Skalishi in it, and just ruin a unit turn 1. Whereas now charging out of that Kira isn't quite the best thing to do. They do also get ruined a bit by assault reactions, as in if they charge anything with controlled fire that you haven't already pinned, you're going to lose some going in, and every body that drops is 3 attacks you're missing on 3s. They are very fragile. They will smoke something if they hit it, but you've got to know how to play them.
But yeah, you and I were talking about these just the other day, and I was saying before all the Matsudan came along, they were potentially the only pinnable unit in the army, so they were a pin magnet. Like, you can't run them because if anyone has any pinning weapons, they're going on them and they're going to be ineffective, and they're quite expensive for what they are. Now that there's more Matsudan that you would want to take, yeah, sure, there's more saturation targets for the pinning weapons, but you've got lots of Matsudan. Why not just run Matsudan? Like, and
the Matsudan have Headstrong with no 4.
And there's orders that can affect them, both from leaders that you probably really want to be taking, not just to support them. You've got some of a lot of the weapons and things that the Matsudan have can be targets of the faction orders and stuff, so they're just a better choice. Kalishi don't really have a place for me. I think they're overpriced for what they bring. One of the only viable ways really to run them, I think, is to put a unit of 10 in Akira and move it 12 and then charge them out, but then they're going to die anyway. The stealthy, I'm still going to shoot at them. I don't care about the stealthy. I will still shoot at them and they will die. It's like when people run Brockers in Forge Fathers and I see them and I just go, I'm going to kill that unit because I can, Like, I'm just going to get rid of them so they're never a problem, and that's this kind of unit. What do you reckon, Mike?
I keep comparing these in my head to Reapers, which are similar. Well, actually, they're exactly the same price. So Reapers have Vicious, so on their assault, so they've got a bad chance of going through. They do on 4s instead of 3s, and Reapers don't shoot where these guys do shoot, but let's face it, you don't take them really for their shooting. It's just something that's added on.
Reapers have Frenzy?
They don't have Frenzy native, no.
Okay.
But they have they have options to it, but they have twice as many wounds.
That's huge.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, so they've got twice as many wounds. They also have stealthy, they've got same movement, so assault 4.
Armor 4 instead of armor 5, though?
I think they're 4. I think they're 4.
Yes, they're armor 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'd take the hit point.
Would you rather have a hit point or a pip of armor? Yeah, I get you.
So the similar type of units in there. So, and I know how effective they are, but I know I generally can get Reapers to last after combat. Once they've gone in, there'll generally still be a few pieces left over to be able to go in and still hurt something else afterwards. Alright, so we're over to the specialist slots now, which of course they're generally competing also with your command slots. So let's go in here. We have the Marionette Phantoms. So 50 points for a single one, and you can take 3 maximum in the unit. It's 612, it shoots on 5s, assaults on 4, armor 7, 4 hit points, a Nova 3+, and height 3, 40mm base. Comes with 2 Talon Anole rifles at range 18, single dice AP1, trademark ambitious, and has the Phantom Assault weaponry, assault 3 dice AP1 vicious assault.
So this unit could do absolutely nothing in a game, and for me it frequently does, and I would still love it. Because it is unit strength 2, it has a thumb, and it is 50 points. And it's armor 7.
Armor 7.
And armor 7 and 4 hit points. For 50 points. And I can sit on an objective for 50 points with unit strength 2 and a thumb. Or I can claim a board sector with unit strength 2. Oh, it's just great. I mean, it will very rarely actually even do a single hit point of damage in a game. But I love it for 50 points. It's great.
I play around with a lot of lists, and I always, I don't always find a space for it in a list, but I always enjoy it when I do. I'm always like, yes, I can take a Phantom in this list. That feels fun. I don't think that I would ever run them in a 2 or 3 personally, because I think at the points level where you've got the extra ones, there's other units that just do a bit more for you. I really think the way to run it is the 1 if you're going to, because for 50 points, like you said, you get all of that, and it's great.
And also, because if you take 2 and then you lose 1 model, it drops to unit strength 0.
Yeah.
If it starts with 1 model, it's always unit strength 2.
if you've got the unlocks, run 2 individuals.
I have looked at that. Yeah. So, I mean, are you ever taking it for its output, or really just so it claims?
It's got a few dice it can throw here and there reasonably consistently, but you're not taking it for its output.
Yeah, 50 points for 4 wounds, armor 7. If you got the points and you sit there and you're looking for something to be annoying to sit on those objectives, why not? There's certainly worse units you could take for that. All right. Oh, God, how do you pronounce this, Sam?
Oh, Sancho.
What?
Oh, Sancho.
Oh, Sancho O. Okay, on Sancho O Predator. Also 50 points, 714, shoot 6, assault 4, armor 5 with 4 hit points, nerve of 5 plus. On a 60mm base is a beast, bulky, frenzy 2, resilient 1 and unflinching. Has a caustic spit, range 12, 2 dice, AP 1 and it burns. Also has teeth and talons, assault 5. AP 1, and you can take a buddy for him if you like at 45 points extra.
And this is one where I may actually take the second one, just because then it has an output of 10D at AP 1 on Assault 4. I mean, you're taking this for its speed, 714, right, which is the same as Kalishi, but much more durable with Armor 5 Resilient 1, I would think. I mean, the only thing you really dislike about this is the fact it's beast and bulky.
Yeah, this is if you enjoy playing Marionette Phantoms, but you want them to be a threat instead of sitting on objectives, you take this instead. Yeah. Going down to unit strength 0 is meaningless for this if it loses 1. So you don't have that penalty of going 2 and losing 1, right? So it is a completely different unit, even though it's like the same points and quite similarly statted, just with a few jinx here and there. The cool thing is it's a robot dinosaur, right? Like, that's its own reason to take it. And 5 dice on assault with AP1 is great. 10 for 95 points is really great.
Can I also say it's similar at 95 points to a unit of Kalishi, and a little bit less output. This has unflinching, though.
Yes.
Which is, as we say, pinning is the big weakness of the Kalishi. This allows you to charge through it. So, and plus you've got an it burns weapon on the way in, so why not?
Yeah, you've got to shoot 6. Oh, look, it burns. Yeah, my Night Stalkers cry for unflinching, and so I can completely go on this. And the fact it's a beast is at least the counteraction to that. Yeah. So, yeah, no, nice little unit. Nice cheap thing to be able to play around with, and it burns. It's a nice platform. Mm-hmm. Okay, we had the Matsudan support team. Had a little bit of a mention earlier on. 65 points, 612, shoots 5, assault 5, armor 6, 2 hit points, same as the rest of the Super Lizards. Just about.
Yeah, it has the same stat line as the fire team. It just has a different weapon loadout.
Okay, Zeki leader with an ion barrage, range 18, 3 dice, AP 1, blaze away and pinning. So it's got the base of the upgrade and already built in. The rest of the units can take the Yokozuna. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm not doing too bad today. The ion cannon, range 24, 2 dice, AP 2, anti-tank and targeting systems for an extra 5 points if you wish to take that. Mm-hmm. Also has a little drone that it can take for 15 points to give it medic self and therefore increase its resilience and potentially get some wounds back on the unit.
Yeah. You say you prefer this one to the fire team, Luke?
Yeah, I mean, I quite like a little unit of 2 just for the utility. In my list, I've done the Yokozuna on one and the pinning gun on the other, not because I think it's that important or good. You're completely justified in not bothering going with that, because 2 dice AP2 anti-tank targeting systems means that the 2 guns can shoot at different units if you've got a unit of 2. So that's totally fine. It's just that gun for me feels like the kind of thing you would add to a troop as a special weapon, just to have a bit more utility in the unit. And not really probably what you're taking this unit for, but it does provide options. It can help you pin a mule and things like that. So at 24 inches, you can actually reach out and touch a mule or something like that to pin them. So, you know, that's why I've added them like that. And I gave, even though it's only a unit of 2, I gave them the medic just because extra resilient. Why not? It's fun. And on a shooting unit with a reasonable range, you can sit there, you can shoot and you can heal. So as long as you've got one guy alive, you can shoot and heal and sort of keep bringing things back.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I've really come around on this unit. Originally, I was comparing it to the weapon platforms because I've played weapon platforms for a very long time, and I do love them. And I was like, but the Macedon support team, the output is so much less. Why would I be considering this? And so now I've played them and go, oh, so that's why you play them. They don't die. They're great. And so just like with most Macedon stuff, it's not about what they output. It's about the fact they just keep going. I agree. I think the Ion Barrage version, so a couple of Azeki or whatever, is a very valid way to be playing them and just allows you to toss out some pinning. I actually run them as 3 Yokozuna. Not so much for the pinning of the vehicles, they certainly can do that, but it's also, they're just 6 dice on AP2 is not bad. And particularly because it's got anti-tank, it surprises Forge Fathers particularly when this little unit of 3 suddenly starts like knocking down their Steel Warriors. The great thing about the Yokozuna, although it's 6 dice AP2, it's a 24-inch range. And just that extra bit of distance keeps them survivable. So yes, I've come around on this unit.
Yeah, well, so I wanted them for the pinning, obviously, but that's why I went with the one iron cannon as well, just because it's like, well, 24 inches, you can always shoot something turn one.
Yeah.
It's only a couple of dice, but, you know, because I've just got the units of 2, but it's still nice to have the 24-inch range.
Mm-hmm.
Proxy Forge Fathers as well. I don't know. We better weapons actually with longer range. So yes, why not? It's in there. I guess it just comes down to how many specialist slots have you got available and what you're going to use them for, and choosing from there. So yes, we'll go through a few more in a second, and that's where the decision really sits.
Yeah, there are some excellent ones coming up.
Okay, so we have the Macedon Heavy Assault Team, also 612, Assault, no shooting, Assault 5, Armour 7, 2 hit points, Nova 4, 25mm base, US of 2, which, well, by the way, support team was only a US of 1.
Yes, that's right. So it's only 2 people as a base. So.
Comes standard with the Tashi and Tadate, Assault 3 dice, AP 1. And they can be upgraded to having a light blade and Tadate, which takes them up to AP2 with Vicious Assault. They come with 3 in the unit and can add another 3 more. And they also come with the drone if you wish to get the medic self again to just increase that resilient, because why not? Because apparently it's fun.
Because why not be resilient 3 on an armor 7 unit? It's just great. So I mean, these are basically the same as the Macedon combat team, but +1 armor and defensible, right? And of course their Inashi isn't quite as good. It's only 3D AP2 instead of 4D AP2. But there we go. But honestly, Armour 7 makes such an enormous difference, and just having defensible and unflinching, headstrong and nerve 4 means you're probably clearing that pin anyway, but in the event you aren't, you still get to charge. These guys are great.
Yeah, and with Assault 4, like, I compare them to Nightmares. They're not hitting quite as hard as Nightmares, but they've got such a big bag of tricks.
Nightmares are Assault 4 and these are only 5?
I think they're,
sure.
Nightmares Assault 4. And they can get a bit more AP and stuff in the Nightmares, but these guys hit nearly as well as Nightmares, but they get so much more in terms of survivability. And I think they're cheaper overall as well, off the top of my head. Plus the medic drone. Like, I think it's just a better Nightmare unit, basically. Defensible to get the cannon charge off all the time.
Yeah.
Headstrong to clear the pin marker if you do happen to get pinned. Like, it's pretty great.
They really are. They've got all the tools.
Everything.
Yeah, the defensible and the counter, only having the option to counter charge is one thing. Like, at least I'm used to defensible or my forces where I have other options.
Controlled fire, yeah.
The best charge reaction.
Yes, it is.
So, but that's the only thing on there, I guess. But it's better than nothing. At least, you know. But who the hell would want to be assaulting them in the first place? Especially when they have defensible. So, yeah, on there.
So speaking of controlled fire, the next unit.
Yes. Black Talons, 612, shoot 3, assault 4, armor 6, 1 hit point, 2+ nerve, and 25mm base US 2. have advanced training, aerial deployment, anti-grav, construct, designation, clade, shield 4, stealthy, control fire, and evade. Just a few tricks in their bag, just a couple. Anyway, we have it comes as a unit of 3 with range 18, 1 dice, AP 1, trademark, and vicious shoot on their Talon Knoll rifles. They have assault weapons of just 2 dice.
Just 2 dice. That's an upgrade on regular ciphers.
2 dice.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, these are basically ciphers that gain aerial deployment, anti-grav, stealthy, get an extra AP on their gun, and get an extra attack in melee, right?
For 90 points. Yep.
Yeah, and to no longer be a troop and to lose all of their weapon options. So, I mean, that's not to say they can't be good, but, I mean, we were talking about our 90-point unit cipher units, right? And the kind of things we do there. Now, admittedly, these are stealthy. If we think that shields are egregious, well, stealthy shields are a whole nother thing. But they're expensive. You only get 3 for that 90 points, and you're not getting any of the weapons things or things we've been talking about before. So, yes, they're good. You just got to know what you're going to do with them.
Yeah, we spoke about them before. Like, I just think you're only taking them if you want to aerial deployment them. I think that, yes, they do get scout, but there's other ways to get those legs in the list that you don't need to overspend on a unit that, sure, is a bit harder to kill, but I don't think it does enough for its points, really. It doesn't output enough to warrant that. So if I want to take resilient blocks of things to not die, I'll take Matsudan, and if I want to get things up the board, I'll take something in a transport or bikes. So the only use in my mind for them is if you want to aerial deployment them. And they're not even that great at that. They're certainly not the best ambushing.
They're no hammer fist drop troops.
Yeah. If you know how you want to use them and it's an effective use for them, you would be fine to run them if you really want to run them. I just personally wouldn't.
I run drop troops for a reason, and even then sometimes I debate whether I should be taking those, and drop troops are definitely better than these guys. The drop troops, at least the anti-tank AP2. These things are going to be targeting infantry, and you've got enough options in the rest of the list to target infantry from across the other side of the board. If I'm looking at Titan spots, I'm looking elsewhere, I think.
It's tough when you only get 3 in a unit, and each additional Talon is 30 points, so it's half again as expensive as a cipher. Yeah, like I said, they have their uses, but it's not something you take lightly.
Yeah, it's 150 points for 5. That's pretty pricey. You know, you could consider a unit of 5, right, because they've got advanced training and the trademark weapons, so you can drop them in something like Controlled Advance.
And then go no charges?
And then shoot. Yeah, use any of the orders that make their trademark weapons better and kill something or break something that is sitting on an objective. And particularly if someone's run away with an HVA, that's a reasonable thing to do as well, right? Mm-hmm. Like drop down at the end of the turn, try and shoot that unit off the board, and then activate, run and grab the objective. And sure, you're standing amongst the enemy, but they have to turn and deal with you and you've got shields. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a couple of scenarios where it could be handy to have a unit of them. They're just not personally for me.
Macedon grab bikes. Moving 915, shooting on 5s, assaulting on 5, armor 6, 3 hit points each. Mm-hmm. Nova 4 plus, 40mm base, only US 1. The unit itself comes with the iron repeaters. They are 3 dice, AP1 each with blaze away. They can get a twin light missile launchers, range 24, 2 dice, AP2, anti-aircraft blast D2 targeting systems. Come with a standard unit of 2, and you can take 2 more at 40 points each. It also has anti-grav, bulky, designation honourable, headstrong, resilient 1, and suppressive fire.
I've run Sky Razors quite a bit in Asterian, so I haven't yet found the reason to jump across to these guys. I mean, I can absolutely see the reason, just because they're 3 hit points each with armor 6, resilient 1. They are a bit slower. So I guess you're looking at whether you want the Sky Razors being a little bit faster and at shoot 3, or whether you're wanting the Matsudan Grav Bikes, who are going to maybe do a little bit less damage, admittedly AP1, but only at shoot 5, and be a bit slower, but be markedly tougher.
Yeah, I don't think they're necessarily the power play unit in Specialist by any stretch. I think, having one of the 2 bike units or the Sky Razors is a good call just for getting to early objectives. Yeah. And that's why I've got one in my list of these, just a unit of 2, just to get to those central objectives a bit quicker. And also because I can't bring myself, when it's not me actually playing a list in a tournament, I can't bring myself to put the assault grav bikes in a list because they are filthy broken and everyone who plays them is evil. So that's why I've skipped the next unit. And you compare them to the Sky Razors, yeah, so being able to go forward 12 and claim an HVA or something is the only reason to consider the Sky Razors over the Matson grav bike, I think. It's the Sky Razors are construct, but just the comparison breaks down there, and the Matson win out in every other way.
Oh, so you prefer the Matson grav bikes?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think the Mats are better than the Sky Razors.
Interesting.
Do we want to cover Sky Razors while we're talking about them?
Let's talk about Sky Razors.
So just jumping in it, we'll continue on. So Sky Razors are 12-18. They shoot on 3s. They're assault 6, armor 6, 2 hit points each, 3+ nerve, also on 40mm bases, and also US 1. They have twin null rifles, which is range 18, 3 dice each, and they are trademark, and their assault weaponry is just playing 2 dice. Come as a unit of 2, can get 2 more friends at 45 points each, have advanced training, anti-grav, bulky, construct, and evade.
Yeah, so they are a bit faster, and shoot 3 AP dash on 3 dice is better than shoot 5 AP 1 on 3 dice. So they will output a little bit more. They're still armor 6, they just lose the resilient 1 and a hit point. So they will die a little bit more quickly. It depends whether you value the speed. But I do like them. They're better now that they've been bumped up to shoot 3. That was a change, I think, with one of the protocols.
I just think they're not threatening enough with their damage to be anything other than a utility piece for me. So because they're a utility piece, then like the speed's good, but like you're generally going to be pushing them forward to grab objectives as a utility piece, which means they're not quite as survivable, and they don't hit as hard in combat, which is what tends to happen to units that push forward in front of your army. They get into combat. Whereas the Mat grav bikes, they are better in combat with their 3 dice in assault. And the AP one, I think, you're right. It doesn't quite make up for the fact that they've got shoot 5 as opposed to shoot 3, but AP one is quite a nice bump for them anyway. So I think it's more a horses for courses kind of, comparison. I just think that the grav bike wins out on everything except speed, really.
Yeah. Speed and output.
I think it just depends upon whether you got a 3D printer or not.
Which models do you have?
Yeah.
No, I think they're both valid choices depending on what you want to do. Shall we talk about the other grav bike?
Yes, let's move to that one. The only thing that surprises me about this unit is it used to be worse.
As in, it used to be better.
Sorry, it used to be much better,
which means that it was worse.
And it's broken, or anyway. Speed, 9-15. Doesn't shoot, but has assaults on 5s, armor 6. 3 hit points each, 4+. It has also a 40mm base, also a unit strength 1. It's anti-grav, bulky. Designation honourable, headstrong, resilient 1, shield of 3, because that's what you want to see when something's got resilient. Oh look, it's also got a shield generator so we can get them back. Countercharge, armed with an ion lance, which is assault 3 dice, AP 3, which we talked about, and elite, just in case you don't hit the first time. Comes as a unit of 2, can have 2 more friends for a unit 45 points each. And you must then go and see your priest to make a confessional after taking them.
They don't have unflinching, sure, but they've got headstrong. And, with a nerve of 4 up and probably being in range of a commander, they're probably always passing that. 3 dice AP 3, usually get on 4, because they've got anti-gravs, so they're usually ignoring terrain when they charge.
Unless they're charging a unit in a building, you think they're always going to be...
So they're hitting on 4s with those 3 dice. They've got elite. They're a good option for the order to give Frenzy to, even though they've got elite, right? Because that just means you're rerolling almost all your misses.
Mm-hmm.
They're unit strength 1. So getting the unit strength boost if you've got a big enough unit is...
You're going to take 4 of these?
You could.
Yeah.
You could. I mean, in fact, you'd kill a lot of stuff.
You'd obliterate everything you touch.
I think probably the way to run them is 2, but you could run a 4 and you wouldn't cry about it. Your opponent might. Yeah,
because you're then charging in with 12D, admittedly on, I was going to say 5, but 4s, because you'll have to charge. Rerolling 1s. I don't know if you're going to be in range of the Georgie's aura. That's only a 9-inch aura, so... But considering you're charging 15, you might have charged out
You
of
don't
range
have to
of it.
charge 15 every time.
Sure. I guess I'm just saying I wouldn't bank on always being there. And then the elite re-rolling. I mean, yeah, you're absolutely going to slay there. For mine, I think the thing that makes it feel so tough is just the shield and the shield 3 only, so not as good as Cypher shields, and the shield generator.
I think the word you're looking for is obnoxious.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am looking for the word of
The shield 3 on a, this is my problem with the Halomal as well. Like, it's these really tough units that ordinarily would never have shields. Then having shields as well on top of everything else that they've got, it feels so hard to chew through.
Because you look at what just the base unit of 100 points, which is effectively 6D AP3 with elite. I mean, that's pretty close to another unit which has 6D AP4. Admittedly, that one hits on 3s and is anti-tank, and is also 100 points. That's the aberration, right? But these guys fly 15 and have anti-grav, but not as good assault.
These are everything the Death Engine wishes it was. And would you believe, they're in Specialist.
The Death Engine wishes it could fly?
It wishes it could be in Specialist and have anti-grav.
They are a very solid unit. I really do need to get around to painting mine.
Yeah, at the speed 15, and then add the shields. Like, you're going to go in and hit something. More chances are you're going to have your 3 shields on you when you go in and hit. So you actually do hit, and then whatever's left then has to try and remove 3 wounds before it's even putting wounds in.
3 hits.
3 hits, sorry. It's got to hit three times. They get nullified before you start putting wounds on for combat resolution.
And this is the best thing about a lot of the Asterian combats, and I really should have mentioned it for Wardens and for the Cypher Prime, is that often you're not looking really to cause damage with a lot of your Cypher units. It is really just there to go, I'm going to charge you, and I'm going to take out half of the hits that you're putting on me, and then hopefully I do a little bit more than that in order to win the fight, and then try and regen my shields at the end. You can walk into a lot of combats knowing that there's a reasonable odds you'll win it, not because you'll damage anything, but because they cannot actually do enough damage to you to actually win it. Except these guys will do that too.
Yeah, exactly. and I said before with the Headstrong, if they get pinned, they can probably negate it, but they're probably not getting pinned anyway because the shields are just going to take away the pinning guns. It's gross.
I gotta get it painted.
No, please don't. Weapon platforms. There are 100 points for 2. The speed 6-12, they shoot on 4s, they have 0 assault value. Armor 5, 2 hit points each, Nova 4+, 40mm base, and no unit strength. They are anti-grav, bulky, and construct. They come with a standard weapon, which is the Pulse Bombard, which is basically a mortar by any other terms, but it's range 6 to 36, 3 dice, blast D2, indirect, and pinning. You can upgrade it to a heavy fission beamer for 10 points, which changes the range to 24. Comes with 2 dice, AP4, anti-tank, devastating D2. Or you can give it the Plasma Vortex also for 10 points, which is range 36, 2 dice, AP1, anti-aircraft, blast D2 +1.
I have loved this unit ever since first edition Warpath Firefight, where it just ruined everything it touched. They were just amazing. And they're still very good now. I mean, the one thing it doesn't do well is live. Because at Armor 5, no stealthy, no shields, it's basically a GCPS weapons team with -1 hit point, right? But construct and anti-grav. For all the use that anti-grav gives you here. But I do like particularly when the unit isn't quite killed, because it's a construct, you can remote robotic reconstruction in order to bring the other platform back, which is very fun for your opponent. I think either the heavy fission beamer or the plasma vortex have a place. I mean, the plasma vortex is a very similar stat line to missile launchers. Instead of blast D4, instead it's blast D2 +1, which is basically the same except clustered around the 2 and the 3 rather than swinging to the 1 and the 4. So they're very similar. The heavy fission beamer, of course, it's devastating D2, which we know is often a bit swingy, but it's pretty good at nailing vehicles, admittedly with a slightly shorter range of 24 inches.
And that's its problem, right? 24 inches for that means it's going to get into threat range and then just die.
Yes, it does. And also because it doesn't have shields, you can't drop its shields in order to then boost its range with power diverters. I haven't really I used to take the Pulse Bombard quite a lot in previous edition because it was it was utterly obnoxious. Now it's effectively just a mortar, and I'm just looking to do other things with the slot. I think it's probably fine, though.
Well, see, that's probably the only way I would run it now, because I think what the output you get for its pretty non-resilient platform, there's just other units for that price that you can take, particularly like in troops that can probably output similarly, not at the same range obviously, but they're units that are happy to be walking forward, and this is not. The Fission Beamer is good, but like I said, it puts you in 24 inches, which puts you in killing range, and there's other things that just do anti-tank better in this list. Again, in your troop slot, you can take some anti-tank weaponry that's going to do really good for you there. I would actually prefer the Pulse Bombard of anything, because taking 2 with Pulse Bombard gives you 6 dice that can pin, but it's got indirect. So now, because with the change to the rules where pinning a commander means that they can't issue their commands, now that's 6 dice. It's on 7s, but you're almost guaranteed to get a hit and pin something. And that, for me, and that's the base 100 points. There's no extra upgrade to have that. So that's just a flat 100, and you have 6 dice indirect that pin.
I think I just feel a little aggrieved at being shoot 4 and having to hit on 7s, but I take your point.
Yeah, but I mean, you can put them somewhere that they can, if they've got the option to go non-indirect. But the indirect is that nice backup, because you don't want to be moving around with them. That's how I do it.
Yeah, I quite like, even though I don't like the anti-aircraft rule, it's been well truly known, but I do like the Plasma Vortex version of Blast D2 plus 1 and a range of 36.
It's the range.
It's the range in there. I think it gives good support, and we'll see later on that I basically took them for that reason, because it gives support to my other units at a distance. It makes you have a choice between, do you want to try and get rid of that support or deal with what's coming towards you. So that's the end of the specialists. We've only got support to go, but there's more than a few sections in that as well.
It's true. Let's jump in with the Spectra Blade Master. So we mentioned this before in the reposition order. So the Spectra Blade Master is speed 615, shoot and assault 4 with armor 6 and 5 hit points. A 3+ nerve is not bad either. With advanced training, anti-grav, shield 4 and a shield generator, vehicle and walker. So noting that the Blade Master actually has both anti-grav and walker. It's one of the few units in the game which has 2 movement keywords. So that's been clarified in the FAQ, that when you act with it, you can select which of those keywords would apply. Why would you pick either, you may ask? Normally, wouldn't you just always pick anti-grav? And you will for the majority of things, but units with vehicles with the walker keyword can attack buildings. And so if you want to attack a unit in a building, for example, you can choose to select the walker keyword. And the Spectra has controlled fire, countercharge, and evade, 3 out of 4 charge reactions. So standard comes with a light missile launcher, and we saw that on the ciphers before, but also has a solar blade in assault, which is 60, AP3, anti-tank, and elite. So just slightly better than those ion lancers, but hitting with assault 4. You can also choose to convert it to a Spectra Assassin, in which case the assault weapons drops to 3D AP1, but gains a Micro Fission Beamer, which is a range 18, 4D AP3 anti-tank and marksman weapon.
He's an aberration with shields that shoots as well, right?
-1 AP and -1 assault.
Yeah.
With anti-grav. and speed 15, yeah.
Yeah, yes, there's, again, trade-offs, but...
And not quite the armour and not the regen, but sure.
With shields.
And construct. Oh, not construct. Vehicle, so can be pinned.
Yeah, he can be pinned. Shields and shield generator as well, which is really nice. Advanced training to take orders if he wants, but I don't know why he usually would.
Reposition.
Teleport is the one, but he's probably somewhere that there's friends anyway, so it's probably not a big deal. But yeah, as a combat unit, it's fantastic, and I don't hate the Spectra Assassin, but I don't love it either.
Yeah, so I built mine as a Spectre Assassin. I was like, oh, well, I mean, I could throw out 60 AP3 in combat, or I could throw out 40 AP3 at range. Why would I not just go the... Oh, that's why, because you want in combat, because that's how you force things back and mark things as activated. And
I did play against you when you had the Spectre Assassin, and I spent the whole game going, geez, I'm glad that's an assassin. Yeah.
I'm going to go on the other side. Brilliant model.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing.
And it looks fabulous on the table. It's one of those things where people will come along going, what the hell is that? Like, and talk to you about it and stuff like that. I think it's outclassed by probably something that should have to be hit with a Nerf bat sooner or later on down the line when you're going at it. And then this will probably be taken a bit more often on the tabletop, and because it does deserve to be taken more often. But it's in the support slot, and they're always tight to be able to find something in it.
Well, as with all the things that I think are cool models, it's playable. And that's what you want, right? Like, because you want to be able to go, I love this cool model, I want to play it. Unfortunately, some of the factions that can take a Strider, I don't think it's good in those factions, even though I love the model, so I wouldn't really take them in those. This, on the other hand, is completely playable and fine. Yeah. In both, I think it's better as the melee variant, but the Assassin is playable, it's fine. So if you've got it, play it because it's cool. Yes, there are some other options that I would take. If I didn't have the model, I'd be completely comfortable running other options as well. It's not a must go out and buy, but if you like the model, you should definitely play it.
Yeah, and why wouldn't you like the model? It's great.
Yeah.
Mike, did you want to have a go at...
No.
Okay. The next is the Daida Rabochi support mech. So the next two are the walkers provided by the Matsudan to the list. I might do them both together if that's okay. So they're both speed 612, shoot and assault 5. The support mech is armor 8 because it carries a shield. The assault mech is armor 7. Both with 4 hit points and nerve 4, height 4 and a 60 mil base and unit strength 1, which matters a little more because it is bulky construct, not vehicle. The support mech also has defensible. They both have heavy armor, targeting systems, and walker. The support mech has controlled fire as a charge reaction, and the assault mech has both controlled fire and countercharge. So what else differentiates them? Well, the support mech has an Uke Ion Barrage, which is range 24, 3D AP1 and pinning, and a choice of grenades to fire. An Uke Ion Grenade, which is range 18, 2D AP1 blast D2 plus 1, or a Smoke Grenade, which is range 12, 3D smoke. In melee, it has a Shurido Shield Smash, assault 4D AP1. The assault mech doesn't have the ion barrage or the grenade launchers. Instead, it has a heavy fission beamer, which is the same as the one on the weapon platform, just a -1 shoot because it's on the assault mech. It also has a chain link Kusarigami, which is range 6, 2D AP2 seismic at range, and in assault is 4D AP2 Frenzy 1 seismic. What are our thoughts on the Daida Rabochi?
Well, I think the assault mech, I just feel like I would rather have a Spectra. The assault mech gets a couple of things like construct, right? That the Spectra doesn't have, but a little bit better at its shooting and assault, like the weapon stats themselves, but then a bit worse on the profile that's doing it.
Because it's shoot and assault 5 rather than shoot and assault 4?
Exactly. So the Spectra has better shoot and assault value, but the stats on the weapons themselves aren't quite as good. So there's a trade-off one way or the other that means it's kind of a wash. But then you've got the shields, the shield generator, the extra hit point on the Blade Master
versus armor 7 and heavy armor
7. Shield beats heavy armor for me. It's just there's fewer there's no way to get rid of the shields other than to shoot the shields, whereas there's ways to bypass heavy armor. So I just think the Spectra kind of just edges out the assault mech for me. Again, it doesn't make the assault mech bad. It just means that I would rather have a Spectra. The support mech, on the other hand, is it brilliant? No, but it's got a lot of fun things to like about it. I really like the smoke because that makes your hard-to-kill things even harder to kill.
Harder to kill you.
Smoke on a unit with shields is just gross. It's so bad. So yeah, it's fun for that, and targeting systems means you can smoke and you can pin something. So it's got 3 dice AP1 pinning weapon that it can throw out to pin something, so you can make them worse while you make your own stuff better. So that's
and then go defensible, so if they charge you, you can pin them on the way.
You can still controlled fire, exactly. And when you pin them coming in, when you shoot them coming in, you don't need to smoke anything now, so you can be shooting
grenading them as well.
Your iron grenade, so you're getting more shots on them. And then it's got a good assault. Like, it's 4 dice AP1. That's nothing to be sneezed at.
Yeah.
So yeah, I quite like it.
I like the fact that they don't have vehicle, so they can go for objectives.
And construct means they're never pinned, right?
Yeah, and construct means that they're never pinned, so it doesn't matter what goes on there, they're sitting on top of it. For about nearly 100 points, it just doesn't feel like it has enough dice on whatever it's trying to do. That's the only thing I'm sort of sitting at. Yes, if it's support's a good word for it, because that's basically what it's sitting there to do. It's just the smoke, it sort of sits on an objective, it can sort of hand out a bit of pinning, and if it really has to, it can still fight. Like, I think that version sort of fits because I think it's got the right word. I'm not so sure on the assault version. I think then I'm with Luke, and I'd probably be looking at the Blade Master.
Yeah, I understand. So, I mean, as with a lot of the Matsudan stuff, it's not about what you're outputting, it's about that you're living. Admittedly here, armor 7 or 8 heavy armor isn't always the hardest thing to kill. So, and particularly when you've got no other heavy armor in the list, these are the only units in the list with heavy armor. And so if there is anti-tank, it is heading their way, right? I would probably go the support mech because, as you say, it does something that other things in the list don't do. I will also take the assault mech as well, though. I think I don't know if it compares too unfavourably to the Spectra Blade Master, particularly if we think that with the heavy fission beamer, it's got a gun which is slightly better than what the assassin is carrying, perhaps, and it's also got melee, which is comparable-ish to what you're seeing on the Solar Blade. Maybe not quite as good. So it kind of sits in an in-between between both the Blade Master and the Assassin.
Yeah, I don't think it's like materially worse or anything. I just think that the Spectra slightly wins, in a couple of ways over the Assault Mech for me.
Yeah, fair. All right, the next is the Chroma Force platform at 100 points. It has the exact same stats as the Kira, except that it has +1 hit point. It has anti-grav, shield 4 and vehicle with controlled fire and evade. Controlled fire on this gun is no bad thing, but honestly, you're probably shooting it before anyone charges you, and with its range, you hope you're not getting charged anyway. Its main gun is a super heavy plasma vortex, which is range 36, 2D, AP3, blast, D4 +1, so this could explode out to 5 hits for each shot at AP3. Or you can change that for a super heavy fission beamer, range 36 as well, 2D, AP5, anti-tank devastating 2. I always take a Chroma. What are your thoughts on it?
Are you taking a Chroma because you don't have an assassin?
Maybe.
That's exactly right.
Let's keep this focused on the Chroma.
Okay.
Are you totally fine vehicle? I think you want to take it with the super heavy fission beamer. I just don't think that, for the 100 points that the super heavy plasma is giving you enough to warrant the support slot when there's other things you could take that kind of do a bit more. But yes, the fission beamer is AP5. I think it's the best AP in the list. Mm-hmm. On two dice, shoot 4 is kind of nice, and it's devastating 2, which is consistent. It does have shield, but no shield generator, so you kind of probably wanting him near an Arsa if you're gonna take 2. But again, it's not necessary.
I'm often energizing this one just for when the chip damage comes through.
Yep. 36 inches on it, it's quite good. It does lose out for me to the Assassin for 15 more points. So that's why I wouldn't run it. But if I didn't have an Assassin and I had a Chroma, I would run it.
I think what Luke just said is exactly the same. It's a great model by itself. It's a fantastic unit, but it's got something else in the same slot that's even better. As I said, and that's the thing I'm talking about that deserves to be hit with a nerf bat. So
I haven't really run the super heavy plasma vortex variant of this. I mean, on paper it does look good, 2D, particularly that blast out to D4 +1. If you can land both hits and you'll shoot 4, so you might, that's not an inconsiderable amount of AP3 shots. But I agree. I normally run the super heavy fission beamer just because I'm wanting something which at 36 inches can just nail a tank.
36 inches and it moves 12. It solves all your movement problems.
Yeah, and it's moved 12, right? Yeah.
A fission beamer in the right place.
Yeah.
In any other list, it's perfect and everyone would love it and stuff like that. But as we've said a couple of times, there's
Yep.
nothing else there.
Well, something else which sits in the same slot and is similar, we have the Escort. Now, in Epic, they've actually called these the Shade Escort gunship, so we might actually see the name come across. Let's see if we throw some shade. Speed 12-18, shoot 4, armor 6, 4 hit points now, so it's basically got the same stat block as the Kira. With anti-grav, shield 4, no generator, targeting systems, vehicle, and controlled fire and evade. So, this starts with twin null cannons, which we recognise from the NASA, and the pulse bombard, which we recognise from the weapon platforms. We can also choose to add on heavy fission beamer as well for 20 points, which would take this to 130. The heavy fission beamer is the same one as on the weapon platform. What are our thoughts on the Escort?
So the cool thing about the Escort is that you can either pin 2 different units, or you can pin a unit and shoot a tank.
And pin a tank.
And pin a tank. So that's the benefit of it. The problem is the range for that is quite short. So you'd probably be more likely to sit back and then only use the 18-inch gun if things came closer. And without shield generator, you want to use shield shenanigans to keep that coming back. So those are the upsides. The downsides are the price. It's 130 points for the one with the anti-tank, or 110 points for the one that can just pin 2 targets. Feels a bit too much, considering it's like even flimsier than the Chroma. But I actually quite like the double pinning at 110 as a preference if you've got other options for your anti-tank. That's how I probably would run it. Otherwise, I wouldn't run it at all, and I'd run something more dedicated to anti-tank.
If you were looking to do double pins, one of those is a pulse bombard, and we see that on a weapon platform. I guess because the weapon platforms don't have targeting systems and you can't pin 2 at once, and you can with this.
Yeah, but also, when you talk about the indirect, it is a bit of a YOLO to try and get 7s on 3 dice, whereas with the platforms, because you have to shoot the same target, you're rolling 6 dice to hit 7s to pin something. So it's more reliable to do that. This, I would only be last resort using the indirect. So that's why I wouldn't be taking it. But, it's a 36-inch range pinning gun, right? So you can pin something at 18 inches and pin something at 36 because of the targeting systems, which is quite nice. But is it great? No, I don't think so. But
does it have a use as a double pinning?
Exactly. There is a potential
platform.
use.
Yeah, okay.
We had this discussion. I scratched my head on the Escort. I go, you can take 2 weapon platforms for the same price, and it's a specialist slot and has double the output. Basically, it doesn't have the movement, doesn't have shields, sure, but you can reach across the table. Really don't think I would take one. I can't figure out the use for it.
Yeah. My comparison was actually more to the Chroma, because it is 10 points more than the Chroma. I don't feel it has quite the firepower. Admittedly, it does have pinning, so it has a slightly different role. Shall we jump on to our last one?
Yes.
Oh, there's another one?
The Assassin. So this has 1 fewer hit points again. It is only 3 hit points. But aside from that, it has the same stat block as the Chroma and the Escort. Speed 12-18, shoot 4, armor 6. It does
except interestingly, the Chroma has nerve 3, the Escort has nerve 4,
and the Assassin has nerve 5. So getting progressively more cowardly as we go along.
And that's exactly how you run the Assassins.
With anti-grav shield 4, this has shield generator though, and stealthy with vehicle. It is armed with twin no cannons, same as the Escort and NASA, and has a railgun, which is range 48, 2D, AP 4, anti-tank, devastating D2+1, and marksman. So it is 15 points more than the Chroma with super heavy fission beamer, but worth it?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Just park him in a back corner. It's a big enough model that it gets decent firing lines from anywhere on its chassis. It's super hard to get through. Granted, once you get through the shields, it's super easy to kill.
Because it's 3 hit points at armor 6. Yeah.
But with his 48-inch range and height 4, you can pretty much find a place for him where it's always going to be cover for other things shooting him. So you've got stealthy and cover and force shield. But you can sit there with your 48 inches and steady aim and not have to deal with cover. So yes, if they hit the dirt or whatever, but vehicles aren't hitting the dirt and you're trying to snipe vehicles off with this. So, if they can get stealthy somehow on those vehicles, well, good for them. You're still going to shoot them because you're shooting on 5s with marksman still. So you're still going to shoot them. And devastating D2+1 is a lot of wounds going through. So it just puts in work. And look, if you run 2, you're probably a terrible person like me, but you're not going to be unhappy with the output.
This is what I'm talking about. This is the thing that needs to be smacked with the Nerf bat. Yeah, 48 inches. You can hide it in the corner. It's got stealthy and shields. Yes, it only has 3 hit points, but you got to get in range of it first, and then you have to get through the shield. You got to get through the stealth. Then you got to get through the shields, and you're finally actually on armor 6 and with 3 hit points. So if it does get hit with a devastating weapon, it's toast. But you got to do all that work first in the first place to try and get to it. And 135, it's quite a bargain.
And I mean, I do think it is a very good unit and probably does outcompete the Chroma. Obviously, the Chroma has +1 AP, but the extra 12-inch range and the extra bit of devastating and the marksman, I think, kind of make up for that. And admittedly, the Chroma has 2 extra hit points, but doesn't have the stealthy. So
Assassin's got a better chance of being able to steady aim. I mean, yes, Chroma's got a pretty decent range as it is, but Assassin's got that even one more bit where it can sit there and.
It's very rare that I'm not able to shoot something at 36 inches.
Yes.
All right, and that brings us to the end of the Asterian list. Does the final unit leave a bitter taste in your mouth of the Asterians overall? Shall we run through our own list? And I'm sure you wouldn't have taken this unit, right? Because, Because you wouldn't be able to bring yourself to it.
I would never.
Luke, would you like to run through your list?
Sure. So this list I actually originally called Batman, but we'll come up with a better list when we publish them because it was a bit of a toolbox list. So I've got a Cypher Prime with just one buddy to give another hit point just in case. There's a Ronin just to hold a flank, and he's got 3 Haniwa Katana marionettes with him. So he's a bit of a can shoot reasonably and a bit of a combat unit. 1 Overseer just with 1 buddy for another hit point, and the Shuvatar and the Shield Drone. 2 units of 6 Duelist marionettes. So
Would these be cheap unlocks by any chance?
well, 75 points, no longer that cheap, but yes, I did go for a fair few unlocking units in this list. So these are really just to sort of run forward and be pains in the butt in the early rounds and try and get onto an objective, maybe duel some things off them and probably die, but just to be a bit of a pain in the early game. Then there's 2 units of marionettes, one of which has 10, one of which has 6. They both have the cloaking drones. The idea for these is, 10 marionettes to put out double shots is always fun, but also really just with the stealth to be able to hold backfield objectives and that sort of thing, and be a bit harder to shift. 2 units of 5 ciphers because odd units trigger Sam. They have the shield drone as well, and they've got no other upgrades. They're just raw, and they are good targets for trademark guns, trademark orders now. 2 Matsudan heavy support teams, so they're both with the 1 iron barrage and the 1 iron cannon, and the healing, as we spoke about before, just to be an annoying little resilient thing that can pin some stuff, throw out some anti-tank shots, just be a bit of a pain in the butt, and then probably more likely to hold objectives late game because they're hard to shift. They can, as all of your other flimsier stuff dies, they can run into the objectives and it'd be a bit harder to shift. 1 unit of the Matsudan grav bikes. These guys, because I need to be able to look at myself in the mirror, so I went with the tempered ones for 90 points, just a unit of 2 of them, more as objective grabbers, but they've got the 6 shots between them at AP1 is quite nice. So being able to a utility unit being able to put out some shots as it moves around where it needs to be felt a bit better than purely melee. 1 Darabochi support mech, as we said, just that bit of utility, being able to throw the smoke around, particularly on things that are holding objectives, and then 2 assassins. So this is 15 units.
And then what, sorry?
2 assassins. 2 assassins. So that's 15 drops, which is quite good for a reasonably, I would consider a reasonably elite army. Obviously, nothing in there is particularly killy aside from the assassins, but there's just a lot of tools and a lot of options of units to move around.
Very nice.
Okay, so I called my list Master of Puppets. I have not 1 but 2 Cypher Primes, and each one of those 5 Cypher Primes has 2 Wardens with them to back them up. And the other leader I have there is the Overseer, who does have the shooter to give the extra dice, so I can actually have some dice to play with. So 3 leaders, but that gives me a green, an orange, and 2 black to play with, plus of course the standard 3 black dice. I then have, as my troops, I have 3 units of ciphers, just the minimum size of 3, as mentioned before. Each unit has the fission beamer and the shield generator to go with them. Then I have 2 units of 6 wardens with the shield drone, the cipher wardens, and they go into 1 Shearer transporter each. With obviously the cipher primes, because that makes them units of 10, so they both go in there together. So that's 2 units, one of the leaders and their wardens go in their transports each to get up the table.
Because that's 6 plus a drone and then the prime and 2 friends.
Yes. Mm-hmm. To give a bit of fire support, as I was saying before, I've taken 2 separate weapon platform teams with 2 in each, 2 plasma vortex each, to give some fire support, to give people something to think about from a bit of a distance while all those ciphers and wardens are heading up the table. And I also will have trouble sleeping tonight with 2 assassins in my list. Yep, that's to deal with anything vehicle or anything else heavy armoured or whatever on the other side of the table that I need to get rid of to be able to move up and keep pushing people off objectives and hold them myself.
Mine is called Shields Not Required, because I was challenged to build a list where it isn't an egregious use of shields that ruins everyone's day. I'm going to do that in a different way, so let's do that. Matsudan Toshiyori with 2 friends, a Gyoji with 2 Sekiwaki, a Ronin with 3 Matsuyamori. All my leaders are lizards, as some conspiracy theorists would have us believe. For marionettes, I have a unit of 6 with a sniper rifle and a cloaking drone, and then a unit of 10, 2 grenade launchers and a communications drone. I then have a Matsudan combat team with 2 Anashi, 6 in the unit with an Isha, a Matsudan fire team, 6 in the unit with an Ozeki and an Isha, same again, but with a Yokozuna. I then have a unit of 2 Osansho Predators, a weapon platform unit with 2 heavy fission beamers, a unit of 2 Cypher Sky Razors, and then to cap it all off, a Daida Rabochi support mech and a Daida Rabochi assault mech. So that is a 1500 point Asterian list, 13 drops, and not a shield to be seen.
And that brings us to the end of our Asterian review. If you enjoyed it, please like, share or subscribe. It also helps us reach more people, which we'll be very grateful. This has been the end of the episode. Build up your resilience, energize your shields, and unleash controlled fire.
Hear the